Well, this is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host. Eight Wind is timeless. It all starts with a gentle sadness. I am the Galactic Daddy-O, sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. The one, Aggie Pride, unique breed, thank you. Hey, the one, I'm going to mess around. eBay has like a hoodie, but the hoodie, first of all, it's $75, which I understand, but the only one they have left is a 3X. So I wonder, because I have some clothes that are 3X. I don't really mind wearing too big of clothes, but I just wonder, is it worth it? And maybe I just need to look into the bookstore, because I don't have really a lot. I don't have any Aggie t-shirts. I used to talk to this girl that lives down Reynolds Rapids, maybe, or Henderson. I think she lives in Henderson. She sent me a couple hats. That's all the Aggie stuff I really got. And then I bought a coat. I got a coat. So about to send away for that. Just wondered if you had any experience with that. But welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. Again, I am portraying the hero activated tonight. And before we get any further, we are bringing a commercial from Guinness Stout. So pop them if you got them. Smoke them if you want them. I don't need that little bit of water. See my bartending skills. See my skills. See my skills. See my skills. Ah, there we go. There we go. I'm going to be a little petty. There's certain things that are my passion, and everyone knows what my passion is. South American history is my passion. Okay. And so I've just been debating with this young lady, and just to show you, and you know, it's not trying to prove her right or wrong, but just to show you the silliness some people will go through to try to prove a point. And it's just, some stuff is just silly. And I just want to show you that how silly this stuff is. Okay. She's trying to show that this picture here is showing the Pleiades on the Yanni's helmet of the continuous ball game of the Hero Twins. You see all those knots in that? They was trying to destroy this. That's what you see here. They're trying to destroy this. This is basalt. That's why you don't see like this is head number. This might actually be head number 1. Yeah, this is head number 1. You see they bust the lip on the bottom. You see how that lip is busted on the bottom, and you see all these holes. She trying to say that's the Pleiades, and these wasn't black folks, that these were aliens. And again, she ain't study enough. This is the shit I study. And so oh my goodness. And so she's trying to say, basically what she's trying to say is they're not from Earth, so quit thinking these people are black. But again, we can show several books where these are melanated people. So we don't even use black. These are melanated people. This is a melanated brother. This is a melanated person. They're melanated people. So get that alien shit up out of here. And not to say some of the stuff that with her, I wasn't trying to make an enemy, but I'm like, that's reckless. Trying to, but she said one thing. She's like, they disappeared, but I showed her. Again, this shows you right here. This brother was born in 605. He only lived to be about 70 years. He died in 678, I think. So we know the Oman civilization existed to almost 900 AD. So again, this is the Oman. This is the Mayan. He shows how he came out of both. That's why he's in the center of it. So they existed in 605 because, again, he shows you he gets the Jaguar consciousness. And then the Curucuaro, which would be Mayan. But he shows you he's the combination of both. And there are two sarcophagus, not just this one. They found another one. You don't see very many pictures. And I want to say this. He's come to me like 3 or 4 times. He came to me the other night, which was quite interesting. First, I didn't pick it up because it was the older picture they showed of him. And then I was like, you come to check me out, which was beautiful. And then another thing that happened is one of my cousins that appeared in my knowing the other night while I was meditating. And he's been passed for probably close to 10 years. He died very young. Really sad story. His mother had a disease. And what disease they had is, as they grew older, their veins were tissue-like in some ways. So his mother smoked crack, smoked cigarettes, then she dies in her early 40s. And when he's 19 or 20, he gets a stent put in his heart. So he was going for 10 years, so he's 30. So he's going to put another stent in because it was time. And we were sitting at the hospital after he put the stent in, and we were just talking and shit, and all of a sudden, he's like, damn, something just popped. And the stent had failed. And we're in the hospital, so they rush him back. They rush him back to surgery. They work on him for 3 hours, and the doctor finally came out and said, look, there's nothing else we can do. His veins are too weak to hold the stent. So sadly, he had a daughter. He passed. And when he passed, well, it was an interesting phenomenon. So we're all standing at the cemetery at his grave, and all of a sudden this wind comes by and just touches everyone that's there. And I know it was him. But to see him was kind of interesting. But the sad story is his daughter's born with this same thing. So he must have died in 07. No, I was here. So no, he must have died in 03, 04, 05, somewhere in there. So what we were anticipating was by the time his daughter was an adult, the technology would be in science that would help her. Sadly, that wasn't true. She lost her hair, and this wasn't chemotherapy. This was part of just what she had. And she decided to have a baby. Now, her grandmother, who she favored very much, was able to have a child. She only had one, my cousin, Terrell. So she decides to have a baby. And sadly, she had the baby, but she died in childbirth because, again, she hemorrhaged and her veins weren't able to be sewed up or closed to save her life. And so sadly, and the other thing is she passed on. This is the 4th generation that this, I don't even know if you want to call it sickness, affliction, I guess it would be. She passes it on to this baby. So this is the 5th generation that has it. And again, 20 years ago, we were hoping that technology would help her, and it didn't catch up. So it was interesting that he was standing there, and I was able to kind of just smile at me. You know, he knows I'm thinking about him, but it was cool that he came through. So who do we got? Who do we got here? I think I said, funny you say that because, of course, it's more NCA here where I am located. I don't see any AT gear, but they have some beautiful hoodies through that gold and blue goes. Oh, it does. It does. It does go. I admit, I loved our pants. We always wore the gold pants. And when I played, we didn't wear the blue helmets. We wore the gold helmets with the A&T sign, which I loved. Hey, Jay, thank you. Haven't seen anything local. Okay. Yeah, I get everything offline now, but I'm going to get that hoodie probably. Hey, James, thank you for joining me. You're going to make some money on the NCAA tournament you picked. Thank you. I'm trying to flip my stimulus. Hey, me too. I'm putting in parlays and everything. Edward, how you doing? I hope things are working for you, Edwards. Salute, James. You suggested that our crystals we should buy is selenite. What crystal should we buy second? Again, you don't really want to go spend a lot of money, but if you can find Shugite, buy Shugite. Definitely. If you can find Shugite, and this is royal Shugite, so it's shiny. Now, the other Shugite that's less shiny or polished, don't have any right here, which is okay too. But if you can get this kind that's the shiny, almost a gray tip, that would be second. If you can't, this is shield or black tourmaline. And I put this in corners. Like you can get small pieces of this. I put these in corners. I put this in the corner, and then I put kyanite. Again, that's I do a lot of protection. Now this will also take off EMG waves, but these together be efficient. Again, salt lamps with this makes the salt lamp 1,000 times. So black tourmaline will be a protective, or you can get obsidian. Again, obsidian is a volcanic glass, but again, it's protective. So that would be my next. I would say Shugite before tourmaline, but if you can only get tourmaline, because it'll give you a protective. Like I won't tell that, but I'll tell this part. Like one of my family members, I put I guess I did tell. I put 2 of these by her bed, and I put the tourmaline. So what I did is I created a vortex where the protection is, you have the tourmaline, and then you have these two, like it's by her head, and then the tourmaline creates that vortex. So, but that will be second. A necessary evil. What does Shugite work? What does Shugite work well with? If you go with Robert Simmons, it pretty much works with anything. I haven't found anything that it doesn't really vibrate with. It works with pretty much anything. So you really won't have a confusion thing. Now, let me kind of show you. Now, what I've done with this hat is, as you see, I put different crystals in different spaces. So I've really been working with this. And then I put pneumite in the back. And pneumite is basically called the sorcerer's stone or the logical stone. But I put a lot of zoolites all around this. So none of these stones would be in conflict with each other. But if you get salt lamps, Shugite is perfect for that because it's going to amplify. Because if I can remember right, TVs put out negative ions. No, TVs put out positive ions. Salt lamps put out negative ions. But with Shugite added to the salt lamp, you have a more powerful. So you have a EMF protector, and you have something that would put out more positive ions in your atmosphere just naturally. So, and it's great for protection as well. So, so it works with a little bit of everything. This is my personal protection. I pretty much always carry this. Like when I go get acupuncture, because remember, when I get acupuncture, I trance. I mean, I do. When I'm laying there, I trance. And I told the story a few years ago. I didn't take anything because, again, when you do acupuncture, you take off damn near everything but your draws. Same with a massage. You take off almost everything. And I didn't have any protection because I took off my other motorbike. And this little old dude just came in my knowing. He just me harm. He didn't mean any harm or anything. But he just came into my knowing. So it's good to have protection when you get massages.
So it works with everything. Looking at getting into obsidian necklace. Will gold or silver hold the obsidian affect the energy? Now I am looking to Robert Simmons is basically the Moldavite authority. He's the first one that really picked up this 1950s article in the early 70s, mid 70s, and contacted the first dude who ever wrote about Moldavite in the USA. And so he's kind of got the authority. Now he makes a lot of pieces. Like my big piece has all the, it's encased in silver. I haven't seen anybody encase Moldavite in gold. However, he suggests, now, with silver, I had to bring my copper in here. I got copper right here. Silver, copper, they work internally. This silver actually will clean pores, all the pores that you have. This silver will go into your pores and clean your pores. But gold actually will work on your mind. So if you have a gold chain, and whatever you're putting on here, you have something that will actually be feeding you mentally. It'll be feeding you mentally. So wearing a gold chain is going to actually go into your mind. It's going to go help some of the neurons. Shugite to me is the best to repair neurons, because as we get older, that's what happens is our neuron connection just dies as we get older. Again, as you get older, you like me, I've got 60-year-old neurons with all this poisonous food and everything. And sugar is one of the worst things that disconnect neurons is sugar, raw sugar. So, so it's not going to really, so it's not good. No, silver or gold won't affect it. It's other than that, those benefits. Because remember, silver, this is one thing that silver will do that gold won't. Silver will go into the quantum of the molecular structure of the stone. It will match this stone at the quantum level and make the stone resonate at its highest peak. So whatever you decide to charm up with it, if you got silver is going to get the most out of the stone. It is going to get the most because it is constantly at the quantum level with it, telling the stone, we need you to be at your highest vibration. Gold can't really do that. But again, gold can help you mentally. That is a good habit of wearing a small piece of gold, is mentally it can help you. So, it's just your personal preference. It's your personal preference. But those are the benefits of both. Those are the benefits of both. I live in the South. I noticed that we have crazy weather patterns more than unusual now. It's like every 2 weeks or so, we get a major storm and they close schools and the like. It's like here. Last week, we had a day in the damn near 70. It was like in the mid 60s, which is March. We don't normally get that. And then Thursday. And then Monday, we had like 4 inches of snow. Well, 2 inches, 3 inches of snow. We had 3 inches of snow, but covering 3 inches of snow. So it said 2.8, but actually covering. So our weather's been as funky too, because we never get these warm days. I take colloidal silver to keep viruses away, regulate my heart like a nano level. Cool. Especially the nano silver I take breaks down on a very small level, which is why it's so effective. Agreed. Hey, Crazy Cyrus, thanks for joining. 2 shows nightly, I am down. Thank you, PJ. Thank you. Yeah, I have been contemplating on just doing a sports show. So, and trying to keep this more spiritual, but it doesn't matter. Whatever the questions, I'll go with it. I am the holder of the continuous ball game of the Hero Twins, so I'll do whatever. But I just wanted to give that little sports kick in there. So obsidian is beautiful. I mean, mirror work really helps with visions. So even like you can just take any kind of obsidian and even this small amount where you can see even the reflection of all that, you could use this to transcend. And one thing mirror work will do, it will help with your visions and your vision quest. You'll definitely, when you work with obsidian and you start doing some kind of scrying is what they call it. You start scrying with it, your visions pick up. your visions will pick up. So, and just makes you more aware spiritually. It just makes you more aware. Nah, do what you feel. Thank you. I do. This is the thing I was been hitting on about see, this is how the news. So remember, okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. So the news again talks about the shooting down in Atlanta. So at first it was 8 Asians shot. That's what they're telling you. First 8 Asians. Tonight, just watched this at 8 people. Oh, and he didn't have any hard feelings. Let's remember when Uncle Imbecile was saying that he was calling it the Chinese thing. Remember, people was attacking them. But remember a couple weeks ago, they was like brothers is attacking them. And Biden is sitting there saying, we can't have us attacking them because that's the psyop. Because they want a reason for the UN Chinese troops to come in here and say, well, we need to protect our people. But I don't know who's on our side, but they sent that dude down to Atlanta. And that dude, again, you know what they were saying now? 8 people killed. See how they do the words? And then they're going over their words. Well, we don't think, we just think he had a sex addiction. No, see, that fucked their agenda up. So thank you. And I'm sad that people got killed, but somebody said, no, we're not going to let y'all get away with you're trying to say brothers is going after them. Remember, look a year ago who was attacking these Asian people, and it wasn't brothers. So they hurriedly backpedaled on this shit. Oh, no, it had nothing to do with that. Bullshit. You kill one type of people and that ain't got nothing to do with it. So that just shows you their wordplay. My brother wants me to invest in gold, and it's a long-term investment when I can take the same money, invest in a business, which will create a passive income. I feel you. Do a little of both. But if you got a business that you can put the money in and for long-term plan, and you don't need the money liquid, go with the business because you've got something that's going to constantly feed you instead of investing in something like gold and silver. Again, it's an up and down thing. And I'll say one thing I love about this Apple phone, they gave me the stock exchange, and that is beautiful, where I can just watch this shit live. Matter of fact, right now it is going on the Europe and the stock exchange in Japan. It's showing that shit. So I think you're right. I think the business is better. He says he loves God and guns. Will Warriors make the playoffs? It's not looking good for them. It's really not. It's not looking good for them at all. I thought they're trying to make Curry tough. So him cussing out again the redhead dude, where did he come from? You telling me that the redhead guy is a G League 2-way guy, and all of a sudden he's on the team, and now they're talking about trading Wiggins, which they've been talking about all along. But it doesn't look like they're going to make it. It doesn't look like the Blazers are going to make it either. I don't think the Blazers are going to make it. So I'm keeping my pick, because what they'll do is Seth is going to catch on fire, because they want to keep a short player out there. So if Steph doesn't make it and Dame doesn't make it, they got Seth. Now, I know they lost today, but Embiid did not play, and they barely lost without Embiid playing. So I'm going to wait till the morning to see the ratings on the games, because the second game, again, they make Luka look good again. George, he's overplaying, and Luka goes behind his back. I mean, it's just all Globetrotter-ish. Curry got injured. I did not see them play tonight, so I really couldn't say. Maybe he did. Maybe he got injured tonight. They didn't show on my region. We saw the Bucks play the Sixers, and then the Clippers just lost to Dallas. And Dallas ain't in either. I think Dallas is 9, so they ain't in. They are now easing protocols on players who have been vaccinated. Wow. What players have been vaccinated? Okay, Woke said, yeah, Curry got injured. So did you see the Lakers winning the chip, or you got Philly? I still have Philly. I'm going to stick with Philly. I still think Utah is going to come out. I think this is the year they're going to let Utah come out because of all the publicity. Utah has scored high in the ratings every game. I was fooled, though. Utah was supposed to play tonight, and again, they must have did the regional thing because Utah didn't come on. But when they showed Tuesday night, they showed Utah in our region. Utah didn't come on, which I was surprised of. So I'm still going with them. Why is it that every score in the NBA, the scoreboard lights up? The only thing I can think of is that the scoreboard lights up at the end of the shot clock. So I have never noticed, like the one thing you have to notice that's different between college and pros and high school, because college and high school rules are basically the same. It's very few difference. But in pros, so high school, the ball goes in, they go out of bounds, the clock don't stop. In pros, or the clock doesn't stop maybe the last 2 minutes of the game. But in pros, the clock stops every dead ball. So when they take the ball out, the clock stops and then it comes back. So what I'm guessing you're seeing is the board goes red at the end of the shot clock. So I'm guessing that's what you're seeing. What was the deal back in the day when they had the corks in the bats, as it was called? Cheating. It was called cheating in baseball. Absolutely, Tyrone. It was called cheating in baseball. That's why they suspended. Calling me. Oh, that must be my son's phone. Or somebody calling me on my other. Yeah, that's my son's phone. He went back to sleep, so he didn't realize his phone out here. Yeah, but I was gonna say Sosa. So Sosa didn't get caught on the home run thing with him and McGuire. He didn't get caught. The next season, like 10, 15 games in, one of his bats broke and it showed it was corked. They suspended him 30, 40 games. So he got caught. But yeah, cheating. There you go. It's saying fully vaccinated to receive expanded benefits. Well, right now they're saying vaccinated to travel abroad, which I wonder if that's going to apply to Mexico. Is that going to apply to Canada? I mean, there's nothing in Europe I want to see. But I do want to go to Mexico. I do want to go to South America to see the pyramids. So I don't know. Probably why they use that's why them bats break easily. Yes. My guy who works at Amazon say they offer them 40 to get a shot. Wow. Wow. That is interesting. Because now, like even here, about 15 miles from where I live is a block of, like a large city block of Amazon. It's in Shakopee. And mostly Somalians is working out there. Mostly Somalians are working out there. Not all, but mostly. And I would say more Somalians work out there than more Mexican brothers and sisters. It's a lot of Somalians work out there. And one thing they didn't do is you don't see a lot of Somalians south of the city. Far south, as they really put the big communities, was in Eden Prairie, which is about 15 miles. Like Shakopee would be going to my west, but Eden Prairie would be going to my north. That is where the bigger community is. It ain't a lot down here. So they all transport somewhere, because what they did is when they brought them over here after the Black Hawk Down, back then, after that episode, the CIA backed one family, because that's what this is about. The CIA backed one family in Mogadishu, and that family lost. If I'm not mistaken, the CIA backed the African Union. The African Union got defeated. And so this is why they started getting murked. But I've explained this again. If you have people working for the man, ain't they enemies? The same thing happened in Vietnam with the Montagnards, the Hmong we see here, the Hmong, the Montagnards. These were people that were traditionally Chinese that lived in Vietnam. So they started working for the U.S. So when the U.S. left, they started murking these people in massive numbers. Again, they were the enemy. I mean, what would you do? You got these people that was working for the enemy, and you're just going to give them five and say, let's let bygones be bygones. They were traitors. They were traders of their people. So, hey, Preston, thank you. So that's interesting that they're going to be offering that much money, because this is the thing. I've said this many times. The money they've given Israel was something like 58 million per person. Israel has like 8 million people. And the amount of money they got, it went up now because they gave Israel more money in this last package. So it's like 60 million each person in Israel. So they have that kind of money they could give us. And they give us, what is it? They gave what? 1,200, 600, now 1,400. So do you see? They give them millions per person. We get a measly stipend. And then they cut off a lot of people. They cut off a lot of people. And then they're flip-flopping on taxes, because this is what's happening is the new middle class, and this is a lie, because wealthy ain't never changed. You make over 250,000 through history, you pretty much consider wealthy. And let me go back into this. In the 60s, when the shit was around 70 something percent, people didn't want to make that much money because they knew how much they had to get to the government. So they kept their salaries low. And then comes an LBJ that put it down to 68. Then comes Reagan that put it down. And right now, a billionaire would pay less taxes than you pay. They're all at 30 some percent. We generally pay 36% in taxes. And yet those rich people that make over 400, 500,000 pay the same amount. And voodoo economics, which is trickle down, has never worked. It never will work because of greed. It was never meant to work. So we're facing that. Oh, the motherfucker ain't on. Shit ain't on. Hey, when do you believe in reincarnation? I do not believe in anything. Woke, you know that? I do not believe in anything. I only know. But I'll give a more positive answer. So the part of reincarnation that does appear accurate is we do have a choice who we choose to go into. That does seem to be a thing where we have a choice on what family we want to go to. If you look in a reincarnation show, what they'll show you is multiple screens, like the Matrix, in the Matrix movie. They show you multiple screens and you get to pick, which one you want to go into, which vagina you want to go into. From that aspect, that is kind of right, because your soul family, you do kind of try to reconnect with your soul family through any individual family. But the part I disagree with is, why would you want to do it again? Now, what they try to tell you is you become an ant, then the grasshopper, and then a rat, then a lion, then, and it's like every time you try to be more and more until you become the enlightened person. And that seems that puts you in a bind, that puts you in a circle, because reincarnation is basically trying to circle you. And so why would you want to learn all over again? Say you was great and you basically did what you want, but here you go, you 80, 90, and then you got to do it all over again. You got to do your spirituality over again. You've got to do everything. So you've got to relearn to try to see if you can end up at the same place. So I can't say it's not a path, because it is a path, but I wouldn't seek that path. That's all. So woke, you don't believe in anything, I think it's funny how commentators always bring up health and safety. Do you see them stopping the stimulus checks? It's already out there. They've already been sending them out. So they've already been sending them out. Matter of fact, they stop them from being garnished. You don't have to pay child support with these, because the first ones you had to pay child support. First, and maybe even the second. No, the first ones, they could take child support and garnish. These have where they can't garnish them. If you pay child support, they can't take it out. You just get it. So CJ said he got his today. There you go. NBA players they don't have to. Yeah, I read that last week. They don't have to be vaccinated. Get your PPP loans, fill out the 1040 and put whatever construction job or ride share or 1099 and get that money. Good information, Tyrone. Womb equals matrix. That it does. So when we have an option, what happens if we say no? Again, you go to where you're meant to go. So if you say no, again, you would be put where you meant to go, where you're knowing that's taking you. So you don't have to take that path. See, that's again the thing about the light. You don't want to go into that light. Not the light they talk about, not the light that Blue Whisper talk about. Johnny, just go into the light. You don't want to go into that light. You go into the dark. And then you find, I think Brother Panic does what he says is right. You find the light in the dark. You find your own light. You find the light that your soul creates. And then you find your soul family like that. So you have an option. You have an option. Again, one thing that Wes Paneri talks about is purgatory, basically, where you learn to be dead, where you have a chance to go through your Akashic records. I can't say that everybody gets that because everybody can't activate that to get to their Akashic records. So purgatory would be that option to show you, and West don't call it that, but that's what it is. Those of you that watch American Gods, the cheating wife that got killed, she went to purgatory. If you watch the magicians showed the same thing. They had a bus that went into purgatory. So it taught you how to be dead and where to take the next step. Wes Paneri is a good read about that, the possibilities of that. So, yeah. So yeah, well, you don't have to go to that. You don't have to go to that. Again, don't go. See, this is what happens is they try to bring a family member. They try to bring Jesus. I mean, they try to bring all that because, again, if you don't practice meditation and have never left your body, because it's a new experience. It's a new experience. And let me say this about leaving your body. This is what you have to understand. This happened to me the other day, and this is good enough. Let me tell you, this is good enough. So sometimes you just leave your body and be right here. You only go, so like, when you see double vision, like you only go right here. Sometimes you can just leave your body and you just be this far from your body, but you have left your body completely. And that's good enough. And I don't know, that's why I was trying to say is you can't compare your spirituality to anyone else. That's why when you leave your body, it doesn't have to be where you wandered around. Now, I know I do teach exercise to go up just to kind of give people a easy understanding that you can do it. But again, sometimes I leave my body, I don't be more than this far from my body. It's like I'll be sitting there and I could just feel like I push out. And there's really no quest at that time. It's just I'm vibrating high enough. And so instead of me just sitting in the chair, I have actually left my body and I am just sitting there floating like right in the room with me. So maybe I don't say that enough. That's okay. If you just leave it, you just push out your body a little bit like that, that is still leaving your body. And it gives you that feeling, the sound gives you the feeling and it gives you the sound of leaving your body. Because the thing is you want to just concentrate on that new, I don't want to say necessarily dimension because it's really not a dimensional move, but it's a different feeling than you just being this matter. I guess is my point. It gives you that different feeling from just being this matter. And so it shows that you're light enough, you vibrate high enough to just leave. And then you get the feeling of being out of your body, because again, as you're meditating and you're starting to get everything together, you know. So I don't know if I can say it anymore. Stimmies came today. You're with the Bank of America. Okay, Isaiah said if you went to Bank of America, which there are none in Minnesota, get mine today and get a small camper for 1G. I think I'm going to get an electric bike. I'm going to get an electric bike. Oh, that's a what's up to Preston. Isaiah, thank you for joining. How long do you realize that high school was a waste of time? How long did you realize that high school was a waste of time? I don't know if it was a complete waste of time. It's a developmental stage. Sports wise, it opened up a lot more opportunities for me. So in those ways, it wasn't. It gave me a lot of exposure. One day I got to show my scrapbook. It gave me a lot of exposure. Now, like in Moray's song Kickstand, he talks about when he was in elementary school that he didn't remember any of the lessons. And that's a good point, other than basic reading and writing and some basic arithmetic. I mean, I took calculus in college, and I can't still tell you how many times that some freaking math test, because I didn't keep practicing, just threw me off on applying for a job. You know, a lot of technical jobs to see how far you remember in math. And even though I took calculus in college, you know, if you don't practice that stuff, you lose it. And so I would lose it those times. How long do you realize? So I don't know if it was a total waste of times, James, but hey, Lorenzo, but it now social wise tremendously helps people be social. That is one thing that really helps with your social skills is high school. But if you're talking about, you know, educational wise, yeah, it doesn't help a whole lot. I'll agree. It doesn't help a whole lot. But I'll tell you this, what's funny is it's like the calculus I took in college now is being taught in 10th, 11th grade. So just shows you how much things have changed. Am I saving this live? Yes, I am saving this live. Thank you for asking. Yes, I am. I found a way to save them all. So yes, I am. Thank you for asking. Yes, I am. I got something else playing right where we're doing this. So thank you. Thank you. Why do you think they're gonna knock me out again? Are they gonna knock me out again? Zach said he'd been knocked out for the 20th time. So they don't. What did Fred Hampton say? You can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution. So the word is going to get out. I mean, if you got to go on a street corner in a city that has people that can hear you, you can still get it out. This gets a wider reach. This gets a worldwide reach. So practice makes perfect. I want that hat. This hat probably costs too much. But I think to make this hat cost me $35. So, and then again, this is the Lids brand. And see, this is not cheap. This has got all the reinforcements. Now I don't mind snapbacks. I don't prefer them. I don't really prefer them, but I don't mind them. And I could get snapbacks made cheaper. So snapbacks are cheaper. So, couple things I want to read. I think I want to read this off. I just finished this book. Very strong book. Oh my goodness. And I didn't pay about 20, 25 bucks, but this gives you a greater understanding of the Inquisition. I want to read this. See if this is it. Okay. The Jewish faith, however, would naturally mobilize their great wealth to prevent the final destruction of their domain in Spain. They lived mostly in larger cities and in mostly wealthy and prosperous, fertile lands. All of them were merchant, vendors, lenders, farmers of taxing privileges, stewards of manors, cloth shears, tailors, cobblers, leather dealers, carriers, weavers, spicers, peddlers, silk merchants, and jewelers, and other similar occupations. Never did they till the soil, nor were they laborers, carpenters, masons, but sought only easy occupations' way of making money with little work. That is part of why Inquisition was on them. The end of this book shows the papal bull of Inquisition It shows the argument he had with a Jewish faith person on this. Another thing this book says and shows is Columbus had went to America before. He knew it was over there. So who took him? And then another thing they put in here that I had never caught before is, as they're getting closer to the Americas, they're 3-4 days out or weeks, it didn't really say, they see a ship sunk with the mast showing. So someone else got close or had been in the Americas. And if you read some of the writings, he tells you of seeing other ships and stuff over there. So I wanted to mention that as well. Those are some things that I did want to highlight of this book. But Inquisition, like another thing that happened is, okay, so they take over, like Columbus brags that 50 men took over 100,000 people. One thing that they found is, because again, it was still under Inquisition. Inquisition was still under when they was burning them witches up in Salem in the 1600s. But in the 1500s, they were still under basically Inquisition, under the document of discovery, the papal bull that gave them everything. So we found a lot of what's called conversos, converso Jewish faith person. So they were Jewish faith, but they acted like they were Christians. So what happened is they gave some of these people, made them governors of certain haciendas over there. And then they would catch one of the family members. This is one of the main governors over there. Friend was over there. The family members did some of the Jewish feast things, Jewish faith feast things. And so do you understand? So here's these conversos that still were never, even under Inquisition, was still never under. See, we're just like they said, conversos and just word only to get under Inquisition. But you have to understand is they put them all out of Spain pretty much. They uprooted thousands and thousands of people. And these people where did they go? Because they really couldn't go to where the Moors were. Because again, the fighting to win Grenada was still going on. So they couldn't go to Grenada because they had beat them out of all the peninsula but Grenada. And there was a town from town to town. It's mountainous and all that shit that they had to do. It took them years to finally get Grenada. And so they're trying to go to France. They're trying to go to England. And it's like large numbers of what's called of these people. But again, Columbus, who took Columbus on his first trip? Whose ship did he see? So he saw a ship near. Weeks out, he saw a ship near. Oh, PNF Information Channel. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Preston, thank you. Sebastian, thank you for joining me. So this book really gets into it. The other slavery and this book are perfect reads if you really want to understand the Inquisition. And at the back, I mean, this gets into. Let me see. I just want to share what it's called. So, no, this is further. And I'll tell you, the full text of right here, the full text of Isabella's order to expel the Jewish faith people from Spain in 1492. This is all of it. I mean, not some. This is all what she put into it. So this makes the book invaluable just for that. And let's see. There's another part where a modern Jewish faith scholar and him go at it, and he just gives them that business. He just gives this other writer that business, and he tells all the stories. Family sad. None of her family, like several of her, she had 7, 8 children. Several of them died. None of them lived happy lives. Right here, debate between British Jewish faith historian Cecil Roth, and then William T. Walsh in 1932, because the dude who wrote this initial book was from 1932. But they have a debate conducted in the pages of the Dublin Review. Again, he gives this Roth cat that business. So this is a great asset if you study these kind of things. And the original Papa Bulls, and a lot of times they didn't kill people as much as reported through history. It was where the pockets were. Certain pockets were more malicious, of course, but other pockets weren't as malicious because they find this child. Matter of fact, they don't even have a crime. This one dude got arrested for something else. And then it turned into where this child was sacrificed. And apparently these 4 converso Jews, or they weren't even converso, they were still Jewish faith people. They took this child into a cave and they took all out of his organs out. They fully put him on the cross and took their heart and kept the little boy's heart. Well, they never found the little boy's body, and under torturing, they kind of admitted that they were part of it. So some said different stories, but it was like they really kind of in some kind of ways were tortured to finally admit a crime. And apparently a crime did happen. Someone did kill a child. They just never found that. But this is the thing you have to ask yourself. Now, if you get into Aztecs, Aztec history tells you supposedly they killed all these people. Now, the Aztecs were from more of America and came down. You know, they were mercenaries that later came down, and their reign was only about 100 years. It was only 1 or 2 other Montezumas. I think he was the 3rd or the 2nd. I can't remember. So that could have been their practice. But again, when you murder massive people, you have to come up with a story when they start finding all these dead bodies, what happened. But okay, I'm just giving this so generally, so that if you study, okay, we just say a generalization, Aztec sacrifice people. But if you study Jewish faith people going back to the 10th century, you always see sacrificing non-Jewish faith people. Like one of my books that's over here is called Rumors. See, it's called Rumors. But again, you don't see, like you have parts of Africa where they say they shrunk the heads and stuff. That is the practice of their enemies. They shrunk the heads of their enemies. You can pretty much say that's what they did. But if you hear the same kind of stories over and over and over again, it makes you see that there has to be something to this, and it can't just be looked at as all out of hand. So these are just some things to consider. This is a really good research book. But every time you look at Jews, and again, that's the thing to say, who took Columbus on his first trip? That's a thing to look at. And I want to bring this up too. So there's a saying of 15 minutes of fame. Y'all remember that? Everybody gets their 15 minutes of fame. TikTok has turned your 15 minutes into 3 minutes. You don't even get the full 15 minutes anymore. TikTok gives you 3 minutes of fame. So do you know the thing? Like take a hit song. Take a hit song. That's your jam for a couple of weeks. Then you hear another song that you vibrate with. And so the same thing is a person with 15 minutes of fame. Look at the Gontram style dude. He broke YouTube. At that time, he was the biggest thing YouTube have ever seen. Something like 50-some million views. But look how quick, where could he take that? Look how quick he disappeared. So now you have 3 minutes of fame. Do you know how quick you're forgotten? Even something that goes viral is only viral for a short time, then it dies out as well. So TikTok takes away your 15 minutes and only gives you 3. Like the glue-haired girl, she got a little bit and then she's forgotten. But TikTok gives you 3 minutes of fame. So I wanted to bring that up. Hate to beat another thing, but liberalism does not come from capitalism. Liberalism does not come from capitalism. That's what they want to make you think. That's the narrative. Liberalism comes from Jewish faith people. It's their practice. See, they threw it into capitalism, but it's the Jewish faith people's practice. That's one thing I just got out of this book, and I've been studying all day, and it's like I'm finding more and more that supports this. So liberalism comes from the Jewish faith people, and they want to make you think it's part of capitalism because capitalism is their idea as well. Here's another one around the same thing. And right now, because Easter's coming up, they pushing this Passion of Christ, because the Passion of Christ doesn't make them look good either. They hated this movie. They tried to get, now again, we know who controls Hollywood. We know Jewish faith people control Hollywood. But see, there's some kind of battle that goes on, like where they got to release movies like The Dark City. They got to release movies like The Matrix, and they have to release this information. And so again, they couldn't hold this movie out, and it makes them look. This is probably the movie. Again, they try to see, and they throw the Roman in there too. See, that's how they try to hide. They try to hide behind the brutality of the Roman. But what do we find at the Wailing Wall? The Wailing Wall is not Solomon's temple. What does Jesus say? He says that Solomon's temple was completely destroyed. So what they got, these world leaders and everybody, is they are going to a Roman fort. It's retaining walls for a Roman fort. So it shows you that they practice a little of that Romanism. They practice a little of that Romanism. And so it's both of them together. It's the Romanism and the Jewish faith people that brutalize one of their own. Brutalize one of their own. Because he is one of their own. And it's a replay. Remember when Moses sees Pharaoh, Moses is asked, well, remember, Moses throws his staff out. It turns into a snake, and he's better to pop it right back. So they try to play the same trick with Jesus. Like, well, do something right now. Knowing the answer, that it wasn't the time and the place for him to do that. He didn't do trivial tricks. See, Moses did the trivial tricks. Jesus is like, I'm not doing no trivial tricks. I'm not doing magic. My shit is real. My connection is real. So they don't like that shit at all. Oh, and I know I'm jumping around, but one more thing to jump around in. So again, anytime you see the three names, Lee Harvey Oswald, what is the cat? John Wilkes Booth. Anytime, what was the one that killed King? Anytime we see these three names, we know it's a psyop. His name is Robert Eric Long, target of opportunity. Under the climate, under the certain climate, this is just, he's like Kurt Franklin. He just can't quit jacking off. And so he just had to stop jacking off. He had to go shoot up a place. That ain't how it works. So again, they try to change the narrative because they was trying to show the narrative as brothers against Asians. But all of a sudden, somebody said, hey, that's some bullshit. Let's send one of the old boys out. So he's playing this video game, and that screen says, go shoot up them places. That's how that shit works. That's what you have to understand about how just like you can spiritually trans, these TVs and shit can make you fucking trans. Don't you know when TVs used to turn off, it was just like not quite the CBSI, but something very near. TV didn't just didn't go hazy. Something stayed on that screen. Now, some cheaper channels, yeah, but the main channel never went off. They put up like Oswald the Cat is actually the first cartoon was ever shown on television was Oswald the Cat. Felix the Cat, he was later called. It was the same character. But the first thing they put up there was Oswald the Cat when they was off. And they didn't have TV since the 1940s. If any of y'all been catching that Queen Elizabeth, The Crown, they show you that shit. TV's been around since the 40s. Now, most people couldn't afford TVs until the 50s, after World War II. But TV was invented before World War II. I think it was 38, 39 when TV was actually invented. But you had people right after World War II in the early 40s had TVs. Most Americans didn't have TVs until probably the mid to late 40s. That's why if you look at TV back then, everything is live. They didn't know how to make recorded television. So, Mark, WikiLeaks just released behind-the-scenes footage of moon landing hoax and Stanley Kubrick's confession, making it on camera, and he says he wanted to release after his death. Wow. Thank you, Preston. NASA equals deceiver in Hebrew. Right now, I don't believe in the shooting in it at all. Sebastian, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. But it does take pressure off of us. That's the point of it. It takes pressure off of us. It takes pressure off of us. And then a little bit tonight about snowfall. The biggest thing you already see coming is the Gary Webb type of research. Again, they're trying to, they want to put the narrative that the CIA officer was rogue, but it keeps going back to them guns that Reagan wanted to the Contras, and the Senate said no. But it shows you who you think he's getting the guns from. Remember, it's a dude named Yanni or something like that, is a Jewish faith cat. There's an arms dealer from the Middle East. But now you see her talking to two drug dealers that the DEA agent had put in jail. DEA actually also CIA, more CIA than DEA. And so that tries to come. Again, they do the division. They do the division of everybody, making money, the division. See, and this is what they skip. They skip that they created the gangs. They skipped that they created the gangs as well. And then they started helping with the killings. So you think this, well, just like you saw in the Black Panther movie, the Fred Hampton movie, you saw a dude that is works for them. Same thing was with the gangs. So a lot of times the one doing the killings was these agents that work for the gangs. Because only military kills in those numbers. That's why when you hear the numbers killing in Chicago, only military can kill that efficiently. You can't tell me, I don't care, Chicago got 9 million people. You are not going to tell me that it is that coordinated. Well, just 50 people can get shot without any coordination, just randomly 50 motherfuckers with guns want to just shoot 50 motherfuckers. That is only military style. That is not randomness. It's no way that would happen randomly without a military push in it. And so I'm going back to the LA killings. When you see between the Crips and the Bloods, you see something created by the government, the divide and conquer that they've always done. And you see military style killings. Again, drive-bys was started by the CIA and the Godmother. Study the Godmother, and you see the first drive-by started down there in Florida, where it ended up where they shot one of the malls up. They was going after their rivals, and they shot the mall. They shot one of these stores up. But the first drive-bys was in Miami under her. Again, don't tell me you lose 100 keys and they put warrants out and indictments out, and you can just go to Florida and get rich for years, and nobody cares. And you don't get arrested till you go to California. She was an agent. All of them was agents. If they put their face out there, they work for them. Every big dope dealer in America, including Big Meech, all of them dudes work for the government. The young man, I was trying to think of his name. He ain't that young, he's around my age. But the brother out of D.C., Alpo is a prime example. Alpo's supposed to have 30 bodies. Yet he gets out. So do you see, these is all agents. Deep Cover tells you. Scarface tells you. Scarface was an agent. Remember, he kills the dude in the camp? Who you would think he was killing the person for? So, agents. TV was invented in 1927. Calvin Coolidge was president. There you go. They have the TV mind control parents on Google documents all the way from the 50s up. There you go, Mark. Do you know about the white boy Rick? Again, Al Prophet does a decent job. And what did Al Prophet say? Al Prophet was like, his daddy pimped Rick out because Rick was living in the hood, and they might even place them there, to be honest. There I go quantifying. I got to break that habit. And so, and this is how deep it goes. Collins brothers, all them dudes work for intelligence. All them dudes work for the government. And right now, this is what they tell you about Rick. One of the Chambers brothers, he's like, yeah, Rick was the dude that if he wanted to get kilos and stuff, that you got kilos from Rick. But there was times when these other dudes was older and Rick wasn't around. So how was you getting kilos from Rick when Rick wasn't even around? So it tells you how they got to keep telling the lie. I've caught him. I watched that shit and I've caught him lying like that. Rick was big guy. So you one of the Collins brothers, you needed Rick? No, you didn't need Rick. You was getting it from another CIA part. So because think about how white boy Rick's daddy got in. He was selling guns. Now, I could be mistaken, but Michigan has always had some of the toughest gun laws. You've always had to have guns registered in Michigan. And so all of a sudden you just sell. I'm not saying guns can't be sold on the streets. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is his daddy was put there. His daddy was an agent too. Emmett, yeah, Rayful Emmett, yeah, Edmund, yeah, Rayful. Agent. He was an agent. What does he do when he goes to prison? He gets cool with a Colombian and they still doing cocaine sales. And then he tells on the Colombian why he's in jail. Well, he was already an agent when he went in jail. So that's how it works. But deep cover shows you that they was agents. That's what deep cover is trying to tell you. But Scarface too. And that's why I knew you couldn't trust rappers when all of them was saying that they like Scarface because of the come up. And I was like, wait a minute, Scarface is a damn agent. So what is the come up of being an agent? So they all was agreeing. They asked all these rappers, and it was probably 80s, early 90s. They was asking their favorite movies. And like 30 of them said Scarface. And so it shows you all them cats as agents. How do you like a movie about an agent? You can't admire him. He was an agent. He wasn't an independent person. No, he worked for the government. And then they do and this is what they do. They try to say, well, Scarface got busted with money laundering. You don't think they can plan that? You don't think they can plan that? Remember, he went to DC, that if he helped them in DC, they was going to get rid of the money laundering. So yeah, he was known, but what didn't make sense about his case is they were scared. Remember, the corruption was like they put Kwame Kilpatrick in jail, but was it Coleman Young? I mean, Detroit had, you talking about one of the most crooked police departments for almost 30, 40 years was the Detroit Police Department. It's surprising that the government didn't take over that department. Remember the dude that played in what was the Eddie Murphy movie, Hollywood Cop or whatever it was called, when Eddie Murphy went to be a cop out there and it was the black dude that cussed all the time? Yeah, that dude was a real cop. And that dude was part of the white boy Rick thing. And so they kept him in prison until all them dudes died off that he could have indicated or he could have told on. So they made sure to keep him in prison until then. So they waited till all them people died, and then they finally let him out. So, and then to show you that he's an agent as well is, I forgot the story now, but it was like he was supposedly, when they hide a motherfucker, and then he's doing car scams. No, come on. Like Clockwork expose all the evil. Do you not believe in Jesus as the Lord and Savior? Reeves, are you serious? I do not believe in anything. I only know, baby. I do not believe in anything. So that answers your question. DC making big dope deals from prison agent. There you go. That's what he was. And that's all of them. I mean, Alpo is the easiest one to see, though. He is the easiest one to see. All of a sudden, you can just set up shop in DC. You can just leave New York and kind of say, well, New York market is, But that's something that's going on. Snowfall again. Snowfall is following that again. I think they go to Kansas City next week and starting to try to push crack. And then he does make a thing where he says that they learned the formula in New York. So they didn't learn the formula in New York. They were given the formula in New York. Now, one thing that I've said before, and just hustling, Chicago was late on crack. I mean, Chicago was really late on crack. And there was a time that the gangs had kind of stopped crack from coming in. But as the upper levels of the gang started, going away and being taken off the streets, agents is pushing in there, and the money got too good to stop it, because like it did every city. When it hit Kalamazoo, let me just explain this to you. When it hit Kalamazoo, there's a street called Westnedge and North. There was a club on the corner. Club closed at 2. And I was set up perfect because I had an old Audi 5000. I had the old suitcase cell phone. What I loved about the Audi was each door had a cigarette lighter, so you could plug the phone in right there. But overnight, it went from just a sleepy little part of town to 10,000 people constantly in the street. Constantly. 10,000 people were constantly in the street. When we I bought some acid, and you can make acid, it ain't hard, but it was probably a 5-gallon bucket, and we kept it like it was like the barber shop and this little store wasn't connected. So there was a little spot right there where it was just grass and shit. And we had some acid right there. And the person that we had outside was standing next to that. So anybody came, but it was a thing where the police were overwhelmed. And they actually called they kind of did martial law, because they called a curfew. And that was after like almost 7-8 months that they finally called a curfew, because they were out-personed. There was no way, they didn't have 10,000 cops in Kalamazoo. So there was no way they could stop it. And I just stepped into the great role. The police chief that was in Beverly Hills Cop. Yeah, exactly, Mark. The police chief that was in Beverly Hills Cop. Yeah. Jay-Z with the chick he hired to run Rockefeller that snitched to the cartel. Wow. His own Mandy Haven said all of them at Rockefeller was agents, including Jay-Z. Jay-Z really ain't old enough. He really not old enough. The one that bust him out was mostly when Nas bust him out a lot in their song is look at Jay-Z and Jazzo's video. Jay-Z is in Jazzo's video. He took Jazzo's name, Jay-Z, Jazzo, and that was his man. Jazzo was the first to put him on. But look at his clothes. Jay-Z had the most jacked up teeth. So if you selling keys, how long you gonna go with your teeth jacked up? You're about to be in a video, you ain't gonna go pay for some velours. So if he was that big a dope dealer, why didn't he get his teeth fixed? Look up Jazzo's video. Jay-Z is in Jazzo's video. And then he just signed him a few years ago. Supposed to be his man. Put him in his first video. But look at his teeth. His teeth is all jacked up. So if you got money, key money, you're going to go get velours or you're going to get braces. You're going to be in a video and you ain't did nothing to your grill, but you selling keys. So do you see how you break down these false stories? Look at the people when they say they were supposedly hustling. His clothes didn't look like they was hustling. You in the video. He wearing a damn Hawaiian shirt. Nas says something about that ugly Hawaiian shirt or asking to borrow some clothes or some shit. He didn't look the part, is my point. Since you booming like that, you going from New York to DC, he's saying he following what Alpo did. He went from New York to DC. It's just not believable. Which part? Oh, let's go. So that's what you see. That's what you see over and over again. And they select it. They select. Now I'm not saying now. Here's a perfect story how the average person will move. They get a key. I had a cat that police was chasing this dude, and dude had a key, and he cut through these houses, and he just threw the key. One of my friends found it. He made about, I think keys was going, if you went to Florida, you could get them about 7 or 8. But if you up in Detroit, it was going to cost you about 36. So roughly 36 back then. And this dude took the money. He only made 25. He got 25 for the key. And he went to Vegas. He went to Atlantic City. He jacked the money off. So he come back to Kalamazoo. He broke. Here this man had a potential 36. Shit, if you would have put it out in the street himself, he could have doubled the money. Again, he hid because he wondered if they was going to come back on him. But that's what the average dude would do. The average dude just would jack the money off. Wouldn't be a continuous thing. Hawaiian Sophie, Tupac called Jay-Z broken phony. Jay-Z was hold up on that Dr. Malachi York picture. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I did hear that. Hawaiian Sophie, yeah. So, I mean, these are just the things to look at. It sound good. It sound good, you know. Like in 50 Cent movie, supposedly 50 Cent was old enough. Crack, no, let's take it back. Crack was invented in 79 or 80. So how old is 50 Cent? So crack was fully in DC, in New York, 80, 81, 82. So they knew about crack and how to make crack then. But in 50 Cent's movie, it's like 88, 89, 90. They learning how to make crack. You didn't even have to, matter of fact, New York was shipping, you could get crack already made in Keys. You got less, if you bought it in Keys, well, I'll give you grams. You got less grams. So like if you bought an 8-ball of just crack, you got 3 grams. Where if you got powder, you get 3.5. So if you back, just follow that up the chart. If you bought, so it's 30, what was it? 3 pounds, roughly 3 pounds a key. You would get a little less. That's my point. So you didn't even need to cook it up. You could already buy it like that. Because New York was the pipeline to Detroit, where Chicago it was harder to get in Chicago from the simple fact of the ways things go to Chicago. It's like up here is the same way. It's harder to get things here. Chicago is easier to get things from because New York got the Hudson and all that goes through the Great Lakes. You got all the locks that connect all that. So the price was always cheaper because the people lived in Battle Creek went to Detroit because things was way cheaper. People in Kalamazoo tended to go to Chicago. And then again, Chicago got in the crack game late. So things were always more expensive in Chicago compared to Detroit because Detroit had a easier way to get the stuff. So prices were always cheaper. That's why I've made most money in Kalamazoo because it was already more of a premium. Because of the way some of their hustlers was doing like I did, going to Florida. But that was it. A lot of them wouldn't even go to Detroit. Personal preference, I guess. But Detroit was cheaper. The shit was cheaper in Detroit than it was in Chicago. So that's just the war's history. That's just the war's history, And that's the thing is like, they show this stuff and they made young people only want to be that, And it's just like I was saying, what gold can do to your mind. But on the other hand, gold is like the Anunnaki kind of thing. And so really, we was pushed in gold by 2 people, Sammy Davis Jr., Mr. T. I know a lot of people don't look at that, but Mr. T was the first to really flex gold. Tobacco. And so that's Anunnaki. That is the Anunnaki European thirst for gold, the fever. And so those 2 people gave us gold fever. Remember in the 80s and 90s, that's what chick is looking at is how much gold you wearing. Rolexes ain't new. There's a picture of King with a presidential Rolex from like 63, 64. He's wearing a presidential all gold bezeled Rolex in 63 or 64. So that shit ain't new. And then later they made fun of the over gold. But the point was that was Anunnaki-ish in its practice. Because again, we started worshiping gold as a people. That's why on Snowfall, you see all of them wearing gold. Because we started worshiping gold. I mean, remember the thing of snatching a chain? Because you got gold fever, so only way you could ever get gold is by snatching a chain. That was on the broke scale. Then it was the fake gold that turned you green. But that is how much gold fever our people had. Remember what they were showing you is cables. New York cats wearing the cables. And you looked at the cats out of California first, they wasn't wearing the cables. But later they emulate that. When you looked at their styles at first, it wasn't like wearing the big ropes and shit. NWA is probably one of the first California groups that started emulating the New Yorkers. But if you looked at Egyptian Lover, Sir Mix-a-Lot, some of their early works, they wasn't over gold like that. They didn't emulate them dudes. See, that was the thing, is not be like them. But NWA said, okay, we want to rap about different shit, but we still want to show the allegiance to the Anunnaki, the gold. Thoughts on Project Pegasus with civilization on Mars and teleportation. Andrew Basigio came out about it. Mars is an energy and not a planet you can go to. Yeah, well, yeah, from like my relationship with Jupiter, I think the lights of it is yeah, okay, I can get into that. So the lights of it and understanding its movement is the initial attraction. But once you have a personal relationship with it, yeah, it is not really that planet. It's something lit up that you can look at to give you the idea of it. But yeah, you can have a personal relationship with that. Now, but I'll answer your other part, because your other part, there's a part that, again, one of the cats, and maybe it's the same cat you're talking about, he did say something as when he would leave to go to a planet, he would be back that night. And that is spot on. Or wherever they sent him. Again, you could be sent anywhere. But it was, the point is that it wasn't, you didn't have to get in a tin can and go somewhere. There were ways where you could mentally go there. Or they had some kind of systems. But I dig what Mark is saying too, because that's what it becomes when you have a personal relationship like that. That's what it becomes. It becomes energy you work with, and not necessarily a ball that you see up there. Because I've said this before, you try to take your knowing to a ball and something like that, you're dust. You are literally dust. You become big as dust, and so you see that you can't do it like that. You definitely have to be having some type of invite to even be able to perceive what is there. So, Mars is an energy. So if a rapper gets his chain snatched, that's like getting your balls. Lorenzo, that's funny. That's funny. But I'm just saying, common people was getting their chain snatched. Common people, somebody come by you and think, you a mark and you ain't paying attention, or you a simp. And they can just snatch your shit and run off. So wouldn't necessarily have to be it's funny. And again, everything you wear should have a purpose. You should understand it, everything. It's like I was telling my friend, the reason you would wear gold on this finger is actually you have there's a vein, there's nerves that go to your heart that comes directly from this finger. And so that's why it's placed there. And so there's actually what they would call maybe a heartstring or something like that. But that is why you put the gold on this finger, because it transmutes the love, because it would go directly to your heart. So that's why that finger is puss. That you're the town sucker. That's funny. That is really, really funny. Oh, that is funny. Since I take a break, I will give the divination. So day 9. So we'll be at 13 batoons, 0 catoons, 8 tunes. We're at 6 uno, and we are day 9. And day 9 would be Day 9 would be Mulak. Let me double check that. Yeah, I think that's right, though. Pretty sure that's right. Put the 9th card out, so I'm pretty sure that's right. Just double check. I think we are into day 9. Yep. Okay. Just wanted to double check. So day 9 would be Mulak, raindrop, cosmic seed in the gate of awakened consciousness, principle of communication, expansion of higher life. And then for those of you, and then we are on a new rotation of energies. So those of you that are planning anything, tomorrow would be a great time because you are starting with a new north, south, east, and west. So you're starting with a new direction. So that is the fractal. Let me plug this sucker in before it turns off. There we go. And in the Toltec, it is alt or water. In this image, we see a character with the name of Lama, which means elder woman. It represents the old Mother Earth. Lama is practicing the ritual of burnt water in which the reconciliation of the opposites, fire and water, is the basis of powerful ceremonies like the Tumakato, the Toltec form of the sweat lodge. Between the goddess and the fire, we see the dot that represents oneness, making clear that nothing is complete without its opposite, and at the end, that the two are one. The sign on top is the sun that illuminates the process. As a nurturing power, Aht is the placenta that it envelopes and protects and nourishes. It represents the place and the time when the new being is evolving, getting ready to come into the new world for the first time. This metaphor of the pregnancy process illuminates how every new dream or project is realized. It should be embraced, cared for, nurtured, and brought to the world at the proper time. Like the water that is the source of life, you are being called to embrace something that is coming to exist for the first time. Just like her, you are a sacred container of a new oppression of life and energy that comes after a gestation period. Be aware, be ready, and be generous in your nurturing of what is coming. It is already within you, whether you are aware of it or not. Getting the alt card may also announce the need for a process of cleansing of whatever is blocking the natural flow of energy in your own life. In both the inner and the external world, what you experience as problems and hard times are basically the manifestation of the interruption in the natural flow of energy in some area of your life. What the alt card is telling you is that some specific situation in your life or your soul needs to be cleansed to remove whatever is blocking energy so your life can flow naturally again. You may be in a crucial point in your life in the need of that cleansing. But because of a limited awareness of what is really going on, you may be resisting the process, which will bring you more pain. Be aware of making this mistake of what you need to do is the opposite. Embrace the process of cleansing that your soul and your life needs. Here we go. So some things to think about. Do I have reoccurring thoughts that make me see the world in a negative way? What is the content of my negative thinking? When do I develop this type of thinking? Is there a situation where my work charged me with negative thinking? What initiated this work situation? Have I contributed to this problem or block? How can I continue the cleansing of it? Meditate with the purpose of quieting your mind, positive thinking. Yeah. Practice walking meditation in nature and fill your mind with nature's presence and sounds. Spend time close to the source of water and let the flow of water cleanse your minds. Make a positive step in action with someone to work to initiate a healing process. Be nature. Be mature and acknowledge your mistakes in front of others. Suggest some new proposals that will bring energy that is stuck in a negative into a positive situation. So these are just from me to you. So if you can use that, I hope somebody's out there that can use that. I think someone had asked me about this. So in this book of Jumansi, see, Zach and Derek don't really mess with this. And this is a practice that deals a lot with the words. Matter of fact, as you see these brothers here, it was like if you try to do, you set up, you set your sister's program up in the dirt like this, you'd have a greater chance of nature working with it. So that's why they're showing them using this in the dirt. So you're doing your Jumansi, you're setting this up in the dirt. So you actually have nature working with you. But someone had asked me, so in this, let me see if it headlines this. No, I don't think it does. But this book gives, trying to think of a name for this earlier. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So it calls Apraga's interpretation of the significance of the 16 geometric figures in the 12 houses. This book gives that to you. And that's a whole book by itself. And then it gives you the full tables of the 16 geometric figures. And I mean, it gives you, again, this is a whole book. One of Skinner's other books is just on, let me see, what's it called? No, it's not on. Wait, spiritual. Yeah, right here. The complete magician's tables, the complete magician's tables. So he gives you some of that. Yeah, there's a little bit more in the book, but he gives you he gives you 2 tables, I guess is what I'm saying. So, yeah, he even gives you classic Feng Shui. Skinner, bad boy. So do your own knowing and see if that works with you. See any more? Did I miss anything? I never into wearing jewelry, but if I did, I wanted to wear an herringbone chain like Tupac had, and I get around. Oh, Lorenzo, herringbone was one of the worst chains because they crumped all the time. And it's like it wouldn't lay flat. It wouldn't lay flat because I had one like this. And what happens if you crump it, you had to take it and spread it out. And you had to get a spoon to get it flat because it really crumped bad. Bracelets were a little better, but them chains like that, again, mine was like this. And it always would crumple. And so it wouldn't lay right after it crumpled. And I'd be with my spoon trying to. So I don't know. I never liked them. It was. And they weren't heavy. That was the good thing about herringbone. They weren't heavy, but they would get them kinks in it. That's the word I'm looking for. They would get kinks in it. And sometimes if you got a certain kink, because the thing is you wanted it to lay flat and you got them kinks in it, it wouldn't lay flat. So it'd be like flat to a point, then it'd be a little heel on you. Teleportation is real and it's scary. Well, I don't know if it's scary. How do I want to answer that? I don't see it as being scary. It's sudden. It's sudden like a mug. It is sudden like a motherfucker. I mean, it's very sudden. I mean, you can't get, no matter how many times you do it, it is very sudden every time. I'll say that because it's part of what you learn is, like I was telling the story how I would leave my body and tuck in my daughter when she was young in Michigan. And part of the way you had to do it is, even though I had to go from Minnesota to Michigan, I still had to go. And so even though I'm flying and going faster, it's still, you see the process, you see the trip. So the part of it is that you couldn't skip. You couldn't really skip. You still had to like fly over this land to get to Michigan. That makes sense. Teleportation skips that. So it makes you wonder how if magic is included, because again, what they teach you is when you're able to do that, you have to still enjoy the ride. Teleportation is so sudden. It's like when you're on that ride and that shit take you from 0 to 80, it's so sudden. It makes me think that most of that is done with magic, because again, what they teach you is if you fly, you still have to see the ground under you. You still have to take the trip. You still have to experience the trip. Teleportation skips that. So it makes me wonder, is that a type of magic? But it's sudden as shit. It's like being on them damn rides. It really is. It's like you're here and then the next minute you're up there. So, but it makes me think, because it takes that away. It takes that part away of you still have to travel and you still have to experience. Like you can't skip the step of experience of the movement. Teleportation takes that away. So I'm sure magic is used in that. Do you prefer white gold or yellow gold, or should I get diamonds because they are my birthstone? It's whatever you prefer. It's whatever you prefer. The advantage of white gold is white gold has silver in it. That's the advantage. And so you get the thing that's going to still go quantum with whatever you're wearing. And then you still get the gold that will still help your mind. So that's kind of why white gold is not a bad idea. I made a mess. Not a big mess, but a little mess. I guess I'll go with the chain that Michael Johnson wore in the 890 Civic Olympus, just a little longer. Just looked like a choker to me. I mean, the thing about it is in the 60s, you see a lot of hoopers that wore chains in the 60s. Look at Michael Jordan's rookie year. He wears a cable. He wears like a 22-inch cable that just chokes around his neck. Watch his dunk contest, the one where he goes around and he has his head in the rim and kind of dunks it like behind him. If I'm not mistaken, in that first dunk contest, he's wearing a choker. I think that D228 chain was a dope chain too. Facts, and I have started experiencing that a lot in the last 2 weeks. Interesting. I think I've always liked Cuban link chains. I've liked wheat chains. I had a bunch of jewelry throughout the years. I had white gold. I had yellow gold. I've had 18 karat gold. Here's one for you. Back when I used to work at the water and sewer department, I found a chain in the sewer that wrapped around we did a rodder. I don't even think rodders exist. It would cut through the weeds. I think now they just use jets. I haven't seen a rodder in so long that I don't think they use that technology. And when I started, I wasn't the operator. I was just working with a dude who was the operator. And so we would change bits because we put a certain bit to cut, came down to cut. And then when it came back, we put another bit on it. And it came up when I took the bit off, put the other one on, sent it back down. And damn, if it wasn't a chain, it had marked 24 karat. The dude tried to cheat me. And you called it back then. He tried to Jew me. And I was like, I said, I took the sandpaper. This is 24 karat. Now, what are you going to give me? And then again, we're talking about back in 82, 83, where gold was about 400 a gram. I think I got $100 for it, if that much. But it was because you can get 24 karat jewelry or 22 karat, but 24, you can still get it. But like when you find a gold nugget, and I know this is probably, people wouldn't remember this, but old cowboy movies, a lot of times they would be to see with gold, to see if it was real gold, they bite it. And you can bite into gold, because gold is soft. You get a nugget, you can kind of soft. So it's personal preference. It's personal preference, It's like my big piece of motorbike. They think that my hand issues might be in my neck, so I got to get my neck looked at, and that chain is heavy. That's why on the days where I wear my Virgin, the Virgin's really heavy, wearing them, both of them really heavy. And then my Omen head, the jade one, I mean, it's way too heavy for me to wear. Like when I used to wear it, I would have to put like 2 towels behind my neck to carry the weight of it, because that piece of jade, it's a solid piece of jade that they just made a mask out of, but it's really heavy. And so I had to lighten up just in case, if these chains is, causing, not causing this, my neck was probably having a problem, but it's like it could be making it worse. So, and I like wearing that piece, kind of like when you wear stuff. And this is what happens as well, is this kind of stuff, again, it's a spiritual aspect to it. And so, like if you wear, like I heard some people say they couldn't meditate wearing metal and stuff, or wearing watches, that it just would throw them off. And I'm thinking, hell, I've meditated with guns in my pockets before, and it never stopped me or made me too heavy or anything. It's all about you. So I just thought that was silly. But what happens is when you wear something like this a lot, when you meditate with it and you bring in other stones, this kind of becomes almost symbiotic, and this kind of goes into your skin. And so what I'm saying is, when you talk about energy and trying to absorb a crystal, this is already absorbed because you're wearing it all the time. So when you introduce a new crystal, you can concentrate and really feel this. Now, when you close your eyes, this might say hello, because you'll get a lot of start blinking to tell you the crystals are communicating with you. But if your intention is to really connect with this and you're wearing this is like not really counted, because this is already in you. So you can concentrate on bringing this into your heart. So he wore it back in '85 dunk contest. Yeah, he wore the choker. But you could wear them back then. You could play the games back then. And I don't like, this is why they would say you couldn't wear them, that you might get cut. I've never seen one time a person get cut from wearing a chain. Not a person's hand. Now, the worst thing I ever saw of wearing a chain, a baseball player was wearing one of them diamonds, and he had about a $20,000, $30,000 chain on, and he got tagged and it broke the chain. And all them little diamonds, and they weren't little, they were still fair. It might have been a $50,000 necklace, but he knocked all them diamonds. They called timeout so he could get all his diamonds up. Because, with that kind of money out there, you ain't just saying, fuck it. They went to commercial, and this dude, they wasn't starting play. He was picking up all his shit. So, but again, remember with diamonds too is, and this is the thing about diamonds have to be cleaned all the time, because a diamond is an amplifier. So a diamond will amplify good energy. See, another thing with shugite, and that's why I said selenite, is selenite and shugite will not hold negative energy. Some crystals will hold negative energy. Diamonds will hold negative energy. So if you getting in it with your girl, or you getting in it with work, and you got all these diamonds on, diamonds can amplify that situation, and diamonds will hold that negative energy. So you got to wash that shit off as soon as possible to cleanse them, because a diamond can amplify. So that is why I say selenite is a good one to start with, because it will never hold negative energy. And shungite won't either. It will never hold negative energy. Oh, this is just a little cable. This is just a little cable. That's all. Just a little silver cable. Might be diamond cut. Like, the more you wear silver, it won't tarnish if you wear it. Real silver. Real silver will get brighter the more you wear it. It's like this one, I wear this enough. And this one's, again, all this weight on my hands. And then this one just, the more you wear it, the silver it gets. Same thing with white gold. The more you wear it, the shinier it stay. It won't tarnish while you wear it. Silver will tarnish when you put it up or you get it wet. So, so yeah, it's just a little cable. I think it was one more thing. Let me see. I think I had another note. Maybe not. Hmm. I think somebody wrote this joke I thought was kind of funny. I'm supposed to go back to business as usual, knowing that um, witches, aliens, ship shapers work among us. Am I supposed to be normal after knowing all that? uh, oh, just jokes, just jokes. Um, okay, yeah. He said Wilson shot determination. Yeah, I got to still look that up. Sorry, I didn't get a chance. I had to cook. I had to cook, so I will keep that place, and I will look at that now. And it's like the TV show coming on next week or week after, the same channel the Snowfall is on. It's called Mayan. And it's like already Black Panther is not a organization. Fred Hampton might have helped that. His Fred Hampton movie, or the assassination of Fred Hampton movie, might help that. But Black Panther, again, when you Google, it's going to show a freaking movie. And the same thing you can be said of Mayan. Now it's a motorcycle club that are mostly of Mexican brothers. And so do you see how the corruption of even these sacred names? They want to, and see, that's the Mandela effect right there. They don't want you to think of Black Panthers was this group that so-called, again, the breakfast program, the WIC program, free medical care programs, all these programs, self-determination. They don't want you to think about that. They want you to think about this agency that just fought the police, that never attacked the police. It was always in response to being attacked. But they even want you to forget all that. They want you to think of some goofy ass movie that originally he was in Michigan, he was in America. And then they're like, no, we got to have a back to Africa shit. And that's all it was, is as the people were discovering themselves, that back to Africa shit again. So I got a silver diamond cut chain on now. Okay, nice. Nice, very nice. Very nice. And I'll tell you, a lot of my silver, even these chains, have went up tremendously from what I used to have this. I don't even remember how many grams. I used to wear this big fat chain, but as I had problems with my hands, I'm gonna see if I can wear Apple Watch. I don't know if I can even wear. I'm gonna see if I can wear it. I'm gonna borrow my son's to see, because I don't think I could ever wear a mechanical watch. And I loved wearing Citizens watches because meditating, my time kind of control, Citizens watches just help me with that. And so, but just wearing the watch, it just makes my arms and my hands go to sleep. I can barely wear rings. I can wear a ring on this hand, but not this hand. So when Allen Kamara scored them 6 touchdowns on Christmas Day against the Vikings, he had a diamond grill on. Yeah. And this is what's interesting is, let me see, is it? Let me see. That's where I saved this to. Let me see where I saved it. No, it's not going to be in that one. I think I saved it to the other one. Here we go. An ancient Mayan ambassador bones show a life of privilege and hardship. This cat lived in the 7th century. He's got, they've showed that, and they show his teeth, but he had diamonds and emeralds in his teeth. So that ain't nothing new, to have diamonds and emeralds and shit in your teeth. We've been doing that. So the brain surgery, all these kind of things it's nothing new. It's nothing new. We've been dumbed down. So this cat lived 1,300 years ago. So 1,300 years ago, this cat was having the shit like the grill. You mentioned the grill. They had that shit a long time ago, thousands of years ago. They already had that kind of thing. Another thing is ghostly particle traced back to shredded star, revealing a gigantic cosmic particle accelerator. They want to call that God. You know, every time they come up with that kind of shit, it's a God thing. Scientists discover 4 new particles. Again, they coming up with some more shit. Lawmakers in North Dakota passed a new bill, no mandatory mask in North Dakota, and South Dakota passed legal marijuana. Bacteria could be the first organism found to use quantum effects to survive. And these bacteria actually can hold on to their light. Hold on to their light so the oxygen does not destroy their light. And then I said this the other night, faster than light travel is possible within Einstein's physics. It's not possible because there's nothing on Earth that can go faster than light but me. Only time walkers can go faster than light. There's nothing they can make. They can't make warp drive. If it's come from Earth and you talking about getting in a tin box, a toaster, there's nothing they can make that's going to go faster than light. Light is their bound. They're bound by light. So they want to lie and say they can put you in a can opener. It can't. Their own physics shows that. There's nothing they can make on this earth that they can put you in that will go faster than that bound. Nothing. So that's some bullshit they try to put out there. It just shows you don't need a ship to do that. You know, you have like it's even saying about, these different houses. You start studying this stuff. You don't need a ship to take you there. If you read this stuff and you resonate and you sit there and be quiet and you try to see if that is something that would call you, that was something that you can go back and forth to. So that'd be up to you. I can't do the Apple Watch. I think about what Dr. Blair used to say about needles and the radiation of the cell phones. Yeah, you got a point there. You do have a point there. Because I still... I only talk to phones like this. I'll never be like, I always talk like, hey, are we on speakerphone? That's the only way I talk, so you already know that. That's what all my people ask me. Are we on speakerphone? Do I talk to you any other way? Now, if it's something serious, I'll put the phone in my ear, Here's what I want y'all to think of, and this is a little personal. And so I have a friend that had the word evil stepmother is really, you could put that into her life. She lost her mother very young. Father was lonely and pretty much picked a trophy wife of a terrible person. The woman had already lost her children. And so the father there's some people that think, and this isn't really, I'm not saying good or bad, but there are some people that think providing means that you work all the time. I'm going to repeat that. There's some people that think that you provide by working all the time. And they put that over, and they think that you should be happy because you live a certain life because of my willing to work. So it doesn't really matter the connections you have with your family, you are providing. And there's some people that look at relationships like that. Doesn't matter, I'm gone all the time. I am working, you eat every day, we live in this house, this is how we live in this house. So my interpersonal relationship with you doesn't matter because I'm providing. Some people think that's how marriage and family goes. That's just how some people are. Her father was a workaholic like that. And he gave the guys that I want to be able to retire young, so give you everything. But what he did is he left 2 handicapped children with a vicious and wicked person that used to torture these 2 young children. Basically torture them. So these children grow up. The father dies when they're both in their early 20s. Mother died when they were young. No father now. And the only part of family is this evil stepmother. And so the father kind of hexed the girls because he said, you need to get along with her. she's the only family you have left. So the father kind of hexed her because they felt that they had to have some loyalty to this evil person. And so it makes you kind of like, what is really right? It's like, my family is basically gone. And the only family I can really say is this evil person. And to speed the story up, this evil person just recently died. And my daughter's like, I don't give a fuck about her. I mean, she doesn't say that at her age, but that's basically her attitude. I don't love that bitch, and I don't give a fuck about her. She died. She wasn't shit. She was an evil bitch. But their mother has to look at it like, you know, I had to experience my mother dying at a young age. I had to experience my father dying. And my only part of family that's left is this evil bitch. And it makes you mixed because it makes your own mortality. You look at your own mortality like, you know, and then family. I mean, it makes you come to realization that I'm the oldest person in my family. Because basically it's just her and her sister. She has aunts and uncles, but basically in her family, it's just her and her sister. So I know as I look at her, I can see the mixed emotion because there's this evil bitch that's finally done with your life, but yet the thin thread that you held on to of having a family is gone too. So do you see the juggle that could give a person? Because it's like losing her father and her mother all over again. And it's hard to say, you know, there's nobody. It's just me and my sister. I mean, you get socially and everybody's talking about their parents and what can you say? And she's only in her early 40s. Well, I think she's about to turn 40. 18 years older than her. So whatever 59 from 18 is. She's like 43, 42, 43, something like that. So can you see the dilemma there? Which I understand. And, you know, I understand. But it just shows you how fragile shit can be. Even somebody you hate gives you a sense of family. And as much as you're glad and you cut the person out of your life, when they die, it's like, it's just me and my sister. And that can fuck with your head in a lot of ways. Because America is supposed to be all about family. And then here you don't really have family. And it's a lonely feeling. Like my mother's 80 years old and now she's the oldest person in our family. And I'm talking about cousins, uncles, like from her line, it's just my mother now. From her line, it's just her. But that's part of life. I saw it first with my great-grandfather. I watched his generation go away. I watched my grandmother's generation go away. I'm watching my mother's generation going away. And I already have 2 cousins that's my generation that have already passed. But that's life. That's life. Spiritually, you know, we can live forever. My niggas hate me for talking on the speakerphone. Bart, that's funny. I am the same way about wearing watches. It numbs my wrist. Also used to cut my wrist too when I moved certain angles. It irritated me. Yeah, and then, you know, like people don't realize when you buy Rolexes, you got to get the tuners too. You know, Rolex got to be, you know, so you get the winders. And so you can't go without it, or you're going to have a watch that's very inaccurate. You know, the Rolex has to constantly be moving, and people don't realize you got to spend another $200 or $300 getting in. You can't just get the watch and think you're done. No, you got to get one of them things that's going to keep winding that watch when you take it off. But if you never had that kind of thing, unless they tell you, because I watched the dude not get it, and he's wondering why his shit was inaccurate, and they told him. Because I'm sitting in the store, they told his dumb ass, you're gonna need this, and he's like, oh, how much is that? And they told him, I think it was about $500 back then, and he's like, oh, I'm not gonna spend. I don't spend all this. I'm not gonna spend that much more. They're like, but you need it. Dumbass didn't do it, and he wondered why his watch was off. So if you buy a Rolex or even Tudor, if you can't afford a Rolex, get a Tudor. It's the same company. Rolex owns Tudor. Situations like that can bring about major self-reflection, inflection. Yeah, Crazy Sarge, it can. It really can. It really can. It just makes you empty in some ways because so many of us are about, and so much of society is about family, So I feel for her. And then the cleanup, the cleanup afterwards of when a person dies, and after I saw what they did to my great grandmother, it really made me not trust relatives. After I saw the way they just tore a house up to try to get anything they fucking could get, that shit was sickening. I was young. I was only in 5th grade I was probably even 4th grade when that great grandmother died. And my grandfather was like, hell no, that ain't gonna happen to me. And so that's why my mother, it was my step grandfather, and actually like my grandmother's 8th or 9th cousin, but he adopted my mother. So if that happened, nobody could just go in there and just blindly steal shit. But that is just how, I don't know. And she did, excuse me, my great grandmother didn't have a lot. She didn't have a lot. And the way they ransacked that house, like they just, like they tore up the furniture and shit, like she had some shit hidden in the furniture. That shit was sad to see. It was sad to see. And these was all working people that did that shit. It wasn't like they was all broke. They was all working, and they did that shit to her house. So, yeah. And so, it's like I was just thinking about earlier when her and I went to therapy before we broke up. It was like I'm sitting there doing psychoanalysis as well, and I'm agreeing with her. Like, yeah, I ain't shit. No, I wasn't saying, but it was just like, I'm not going to convince you if you have your mind made up. There's nothing I can convince you to do. What are we here for? That's what I was really at. Like, why are we here? This seems to be going through the motions. If it's done, it's done. Ain't nothing this chick can say. And then I didn't like the chick's place because here you are all day sitting with people telling you about these emotional problems. She didn't have anything to cleanse that energy. And I was like, why don't you have any incense or any, you don't have anything to cleanse energies in here. So here you are stacking problem on top of problem on top of problem, and there's nothing but the energy is still, because I could feel the energy. And I'm like, what do you do to cleanse the energy? She didn't really have an answer. So I knew she was a lame brain. Like, how you helping people and you keeping all this energy in here? You need help. That's what I looked at her. That's what I told her. I said, you the one that needs help. You trying to work and help people, and you keeping all this cramped energy in here? Yeah, not a good thing. You go to that kind of shit, or you do that kind of shit, you gotta clear these energies out. There's no way you can let the energy just stack on top of each other. Like, and this is the fucked up part, is if she moves out and she goes to another office and she didn't cleanse that shit, it'll be still there, whoever moves into it next. All that worrisome problems and all this relationship shit on top of each other and on top of each other. I hope it don't like that with my grandma when my grandma passes on. Yeah, it's people get nasty. People get really nasty when people die and think that there's something that can be had, and especially if they think again, this was a person from the Depression era. Like I told the story before, my cousin was cleaning out my grandfather because my grandfather died before my grandmother, because we just thought she was a couple years older. We just thought she would die first. But he ended up, he had lung cancer. He was a concrete worker, and they always thought that he had just had concrete dust in his lungs. So they didn't treat him. And then he didn't quit smoking either. But he died like that after they told him, again, when you go in, you don't have it. But no, he was getting sicker. But so they moved my grandmother into a rest home. And I probably told this story before if y'all heard it, but they found like 30 grand. They found 30 grand in the freezer, in drawers. He had like he had 20 grand in the freezer, just in different bags. And if my cousin wouldn't have opened everything, she wouldn't have found it. And it was enough money where my grandmother, like when you go to most rest homes, you just like go to one room. She had like a double room. She had like 2 bathrooms too. So that just shows you each room is supposed to be by itself. She had like a living room, kitchen little deal, and then she had her bedroom that had its own bathroom. So he left enough bread where she was able to live like, live good afterwards. He had left her so much bread. But again, coming from the Depression era, they didn't trust banks. And so they found 30 extra grand plus his life insurance. So my grandmother lived well until she passed. She lived to be 91. But yeah, can you imagine that? Just cleaning and 30. And then that my cousin was honest. And then my cousin turned the money, and most people were like, oh, yeah, this is nothing. And you throw it away. Like, I'm taking the trash out, and you throw out the rest of the trash, and you throw that shit in your car. It was good that she was honest. But that's karma that would come back at you, because that it's funny when you treat people like that. All them dollar bills be looking at you like, you know how you got me. You know how you got me. But some people don't have any conscience like that, and the shit wouldn't bother them. That you stole from your family, that you took advantage of elderly people. Some people don't have that kind of conscience. Some people say, what do they say? It's a come up. Well, I came up on my grandmother and my dead grandfather, but it's still a come up. But that's how some people look at it. And some people don't have a conscience like that. Some people can do fucked up things and don't bother. Don't bother. And there's people that how do I want to say this? So you can raise yourself above karma. And I've told that before. But it's some people that just will take the blows of karma. Some people will just take the blows. Like you do something like that, some people say, I know it's coming and I accept it. I'm accepting this money, and every blow of karma that come after me, I'm accepting. And some people, what did they say when Muhammad Ali came back? He could take a punch. The good thing about it was he could take a punch, and the bad thing about it was he could take a punch. Because as you get older, you become punch drunk. But some people just let, they do deeds like that, and they just let all that karma be like a hump in the back. And you look at them when they old and wonder why they all broken down and alone. They accepted all that bad karma. And eventually it has to come out somewhere. I mean, shit, they tell you a motherfucker like Howard Hughes. No, here's a greater example. In Purple Rain, the blindness, she talks to Abalone and she takes Abalonia's card and pins it. Or she tells Abalone. That's Jill Jones. That was one of Prince's girlfriends. Prince put all his girls in movies. Like the black girl or the darker melanated girl from Vanity 6, Denise. No. I think her name was Denise too, but she was the cuter, not Vanity, but the other cute girl. Not the blonde, but the other girl. That was one of Prince's girls as well. Like he always kept his ex around. But I know when Jill Jones saw him before he died, she said something interesting. She said that Prince had all these 25-year-olds around him. Like she said, none of his current people around him that helped him do concerts were people his age. He put all these young people around him. Now maybe he had the Jesus kind of thing and he wanted worshipers. That could be. But it seemed like you want to have a little knowledge around you too. But it depends. Some people like having worshipers around them. But remember in the Umbrella Academy, the one cat got tired of having all these worshipers and he hid and ran away from the worshipers. Because after a while, you might not want to be worshiped. You might want to have somebody that can say, hey, you fucking up. And a lot of times young people ain't going to tell you that. You just got admirers instead of sound people. But I always thought that was good insight that Jill Jones said about Prince. Jill Jones, Jill Jones hates me. She hates me. I had her too. I had her where she was going to, because Jill Jones has a lot of musical history. She has a lot of musical history. I'll say that about Jill. Jill grew up as Berry Gordy's niece. Her mother married Berry Gordy's brother, if I'm not mistaken. And Tina Marie started living with them when Tina Marie was like 15. Her mother managed Tina Marie. So she grew up around a lot of that musical history. That's what I loved about her. But yeah, she's very emotional. Her name is Susan Manus. Susan, yes, Susan. She had a twin sister. She does. Yep. Yeah, Susan. That's right, Susan. Yep, Susan. But yeah, Jill Jones, and I did something and she got mad at me again. It's like she was ready to do an interview with me because again, I love. Oh, this is what I was gonna do. Johnny, do it to your mind. Johnny Bristow. Johnny Bristow is one of my friends, Johnny Bristow Jr. And Johnny Bristow, he did he sang "Do It to Your Mind," was his hit. But he also was the producer of "Ain't No Mountain High," Marvin Gaye, Tammy Terrell's hit. He produced that. But Johnny was there when the Jackson 5 tried out with Berry Gordy. And Johnny so it was like getting these two Motown historians together. Because I remember we met Lynn Barney and Johnny was like, used to come out to my house every weekend after the game. He's like, not little Johnny. And he remembered him. And so them two together, I thought would have made a lot of good musical history because Jill had that. So does Johnny. Johnny had a trunk, he said somebody stole from him, that he had pictures and stuff. But I wanted to get those two together. Tina Marie is her cousin. Yes, Tina is her cousin. Yep. Because they're originally from Ohio. She was from Ohio, and Jill is a year younger than me, I think. And so just conversations with her, we went through a lot of the same kind of stuff. I don't know what's wrong with her, but Jill is very moody. She's very liberal. And, and I was doing all a lot of the copying of the Sandra Bullock kind of work. I'll just say that. And she didn't approve, but it was a lot of shit she just doesn't approve that I would say. And so I don't think we're friends. I'm not seeing her shit. But I think her daughter's shit is still on me. I'm still friends with her daughter because I still get the shit her daughter does. So, her daughter's a singer. But yeah, Jill is, I don't know. But she just told the coolest story. Like she said that she had wrote Prince a nasty letter and shit, and she had left it on her car and left it on his car. And what did she say? She was walking to the building and something said to make her go get the letter. She went back to get the letter and here Prince walking up with Vanity. And she said Vanity was like the most beautiful woman she ever saw. So she saw why Prince was with her. But she said something interesting. She said Vanity was never going to be in Purple Rain because Vanity was signed to Motown. That's why she came out and did The Last Dragon, because Berry Gordy wasn't going to release her to do Purple Rain. Because a lot of people want to say that Vanity and Prince got in a fight. Well, she would have never been allowed to do Purple Rain because she was signed to Motown. However, the group was signed to Prince. So she was able to do Sex Shooter. Because, that was her. But yeah, Susan. She's 58 from, Lebanon, Ohio. Yeah. So she's a year younger than me. She graduated from high school in 80. And to me, she was the finest chick in Purple Rain. And I didn't know who the chick was. And I lived here in the 90s. When I used to go clubbing in the 90s, I was looking for her. My partner was like, yeah, I know her. But yeah, he didn't know her name or nothing. But I never ran into her. She wasn't here. She wasn't here in the early 90s anyway. She had left. When she broke up with Prince, she had left. And after her music didn't really go anywhere, she had left. So when I was here hanging out, she wasn't around. But I thought she was the prettiest woman. When that blonde hair, I thought she was by far the prettiest woman in Purple Rain. Her and Susan was pretty too, but I never thought Abalone was pretty. She was kind of like average to me. But yeah, 58 from Ohio. Yeah, she's Ohio. But it's like, it was things we had in common, like slow dancing, socialing, basement parties. I mean, the music that we grew up in was almost identical. I was just trying to think. I was just talking to somebody. And I'm trying to think. I was just talking to one of my homeboys from Detroit. He's He graduated in 76. So he's 3 years ahead of me. You know, I'd been a freshman when he was a sophomore, but he's from Detroit. And it's like the more we talked the other day, the more we had in common. He has a sister a year older than me. And it's like it was so many things that we had in common in the same shared experience. It blew my mind. And we had talked years ago, but it blew my mind how many of the same experiences, like basketball heaven in Detroit is St. Cecilia. St. Cecilia is like this. If a player goes and makes a good basket, and this place only has like stands on one side. So it's old church gym. So it only has stands on one side. So it'd be packed stands. And one team makes a good basket, like say a dude go down and dunk. On the way, as you run back, you see the fans running across the floor. I mean, they literally run through the play and they touch the wall and they run back. It was the damnedest shit I'd ever saw. So after every good play like that, the fans would run across and run back to their seats. So just the craziest shit but it was just like that. But his sister had played there. I had played there. His sister had went to a basketball camp where I went to. And it was just interesting how much we had in common through our careers. How much but even just living in Michigan, some of the same experiences, some of the same people. It's just a small world. I thought Jill Jones was weird looking. I thought she was fine in Purple Rain. That was the only chick that made turn my head. I was falling asleep in that shit. I like Morris Day character more than I like Prince character. I thought Prince character was very catty. Morris Day played a pimp, and I thought he was one of the most modern day pimps that there ever was. That really wasn't about just he pimped the music, but I thought as a representation of a pimp, he was Superfly in the 90s. I thought Prince tried to be Morris in Under the Cherry Moon. He tried to get that chemistry that Morris and Jerome had, and it was forced. I thought Prince should have swallowed his ego, put Morris Day in Under the Cherry Moon, and the movie would have worked. People would have believed that character of Morris Day. It was hard to believe the pimping coming from Prince. And I've been around them cats. Them cats all got a lot of the same, the way they laugh and all that. A lot of them copy each other. They mimic each other's laughs and stuff. But I just thought Morris pimping was better than Prince's to me. You know, it was better than Prince's to me. Morris was in the caddy. Morris is wearing the cashmere. Prince is wearing remember they made fun of the, what did they call it? The pirate shirt and the Steinfeld. Remember Seinfeld made the joke about the pirate shirt. Prince was wearing the pirate shirts and shit. And if Eddie Murphy got beat by Prince, Prince was 5 foot. I was never dominated by a 5 foot person. I could have probably played Prince and what was his name? The new Shalimar, Mickey Six. I would have played them 2-on-2. I would have played them 3 on just me. And I would have dominated them. There's no way that Prince, Eddie Murphy and Charlie probably can't hoop is what I'm guessing. And Prince did play high school basketball. But you may, like my cousin said that Prince beat him in a game of 21. And my cousin is about 5'10". And I'm like, but my cousin can't really hoop. I'm like, why was you even playing 21? You've never been a hooper. You play the drums. Like, why was you playing? He was like, Prince can really play. I'm like, because you can't play. Morris Day character was a trip. But I thought Morris Day character, that to me, that made the movie. That made the movie to me. That made the movie. His character was the most lively character to me. Jungle Love, shit. And Jungle Love is racist as hell, and it makes fun of us. But just to start the movie, and you know the way they talk shit to him, like, watch us. And then they just flame it. Oh, they just flame the stage. That shit was killing to me. That was the only part of the movie I really liked was Morris Day. Again, Under the Cherry Moon should have been Morris. Morris would have killed that role. And, you know, they signed Morris to like 5. I think he got a 5-movie deal. Morris wasn't even in any more movies. They gave him that weak-ass TV series. I think that must be how they ended his contract, because he never did 5 movies. Well, let me see. Was he in the second? No, I don't even think he was in the second movie, the Rainbow whatever shit. I don't even think he was in there. And the other 3 Prince movies was whack. I didn't know that was Jill Jones in the second movie until last year. I didn't realize that was Jill Jones laying in the bed with him, because her hair was her normal color black. And I was like, damn, that's Jill. I had never noticed that. But again, I didn't really like his other movies. But I didn't even catch that the first time. Like, damn, that was Jill. Jill was laying in bed with him, like, I'm tired of your shit, whatever. But I like Morris Day's character. And these mugs here, let me tell you, in the 90s, dudes was still wearing perms. And I told this story about Flash. Flash had his own band. Flash would hoop with us with the do-rag. You know, Flash had the whipped hair and everything, the perm, and Flash used to hoop with us. He had a band. He was like a Prince impersonator or some shit. But it was funny seeing Flash hoop, because Flash would put his do-rag on to hold his perm in, and Flash would hoop. And then when we get done hooping and hanging, Flash would have the pirate shirts on and shit. I saw a video on Facebook where Prince did a live concert and he was shooting basketball. Yeah, I saw that too. Somebody, yep. Her daughter is beautiful. Yeah, her daughter, she's okay looking. She's okay. Yeah, in the early 90s. She had a baby with a model, Jill did. Yeah. It was a Spanish guy, I believe. Yep. And her daughter's pretty. His daughter's pretty. But her daughter's a singer as well. Morrison's a graffiti bridge with all original. That's right, because it caught on fire or some shit. Yep, so that was probably one of his deals too. That was probably his deal. But his character was stripped away a lot, Matt. It was stripped away a lot. Yep, all original Time members. And he owned the name. He owned the name Time. But it was just funny when I first came here in the 90s, everybody claimed they worked for him. Everybody claimed they worked for him. And I saw him several times. Saw him downtown. The Macy's ain't downtown anymore. He gave a free concert downtown. But I saw him, the best I saw him was, Purple Rain. That must have been 83. I went to 2 concerts in a row. I saw him both nights. He was in Greensboro, sold out both nights. And he tore it up. He tore it up both nights. It was like Sheila E. put this mic in front of a dude between his legs, and to the back of the audience, it looked like she was like doing dude. It was entertainment, but I remember that part of Sheila E. when she did her set. That's how she ended her set. She like brought a dude out the audience and put the mic between his legs. She acted like she was sucking his dick on stage. Yeah, but he killed it. And then I saw him here, 14. We have a place called the Dakota, very intimate place where you can have dinner and everything. Very, really, like for my crowd and my age, you see certain groups, it'd just be people my age down there. And he did 2 sets. This chick I dated, he maybe did 3 sets or 3 shows. And this chick I was dating, she had tickets. So it was really cool seeing him in that venue was really cool. But he did a free concert outside where anybody could just walk up. He did probably 5 songs outside free. Yep. Morris was good. Eric said he was good. And so, hell of an entertainer. You know, I never got to see Jimi Hendrix. He was probably the closest to seeing Jimi Hendrix of anybody. I saw Rock You Like a Hurricane, Scorpions. I saw the Scorpions. Was he better than the Scorpions? Ugh, that's a tough one. Yeah, I guess you got a guy who played a little bit of everything compared to just hard rock. I don't have Prince a lot higher than the Scorpions. I have them a little higher because I saw the Scorpions live too. The Scorpions killed it. One dude fell on his back, was playing. The other dude fell on him, was still playing. The other dude jumped on him. They was all still playing. Oh yeah, the Scorpions was crazy. But a good showman. You know. And I'm gonna tell you how naive I was when we lived. I used to live in Eden Prairie. His place is in Chaska. I didn't even know that was his place. I used to drive by that shit every day, go to work. And my son was like, "You know Prince's place. We go by it every morning when we go to work." I'm like, "Where?" "You like the place with the weird building?" I'm like, "Oh, that was that place." So you come here, it's worth to see. It's open back up. They open that shit back up, I think, for tours again. But OG Van Halen beats out the Scorpions. Oh, I don't know about that, Matt. I don't know about that, Matt. But I had a partner that grew up with them cats, and he said they was having like 10,000 people in their backyard when they was like 16, 17, still living at home. They would have 10,000 people trying to pack in their backyard. Van Halen. I don't know. I like Jump. I like Jump. I would say my taste is more Scorpions than Van Halen. I like Jump though, and like my partner died of age. That I remember he brought that Jump CD over. No, it's probably the album. And my partner Don later, he was heroin user, and I remember I'll never forget. He was like, "Man, you got to listen to this. You got to listen to this Eddie Van Halen," and playing Jump and Panama. Yeah. That was my man. Eddie played the solo on Beat It. Yes, he did. Yes, he did, Matt. Yes, he did. Matter of fact, I think where he was playing and the guitar started smoking and shit. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, okay. I did like his style. I just liked Scorpions a little better. I listened to more Scorpion music because other than Jump, I really haven't listened to his music a lot other than Jump. And like you said, that Beat It solo, but I listen to a lot more Scorpion than I listen to him. So I guess I wouldn't be the perfect person to compare. I like Van Halen more than the Scorpions. Oh, there's Mr. T. So wasn't enough that Matt said it. You had to pile on. You can get black for piling on, guys. No, whatever you love, you love. I get it. I'll tell you what, I need to check him out some more. I tell you, Scorpions were tough though. Seeing them live was just crazy. Seeing them live was crazy. And being a Jimi Hendrix fan and never, being too young to ever see him perform, that was like Hendrix on stage for me. Again, it was more of the Jimi Hendrix played more of the rockabilly, but these cats was just straight hard rock. But I mean, I just like the Scorpions. I have more Scorpion material, but you know what? That's probably cool though to start getting into Eddie Van Halen. That's probably cool. But let's be honest. There is still a guitar god among us, and that's Jeff Beck that played with my cousin. And if you look up my cousin's song "Delightful," you've got Narda Michael Walden on drums. You've got Jeff Beck playing lead guitar, and backup singer is Sissy Houston. Do you feel me? Your love is delightful. And then my cousin invented a kick. Look up Michael Narda Walden. He invented a kick. He has his own type of kick that he invented. But yeah, with Jeff Beck, people forget before Jimi Hendrix went to London 1966, the year before Jimi Hendrix come, or maybe it was 65, Jeff Beck was the best rocker, not Clapton. It was Beck. So I like Jeff Beck as well. But you listen to my cousin's song "Delightful," that's Jeff Beck. And that's heavyweight. Sissy Houston background? People don't understand. People don't understand. But music historian in some ways. Love a lot of different musics. And it's funny. This is the funny thing. If you look at rap, it was like now when rap comes out, all the guys I'm with, we in our early 20s. But I saw the cutoff. It was like dudes a year older than me hated rap. Dudes my age, some liked it, a lot didn't. And then, of course, dudes younger than me liked it. But it was funny about hip hop. In my people, that's what I noticed. Because I have certain friends that come over, they wouldn't like it if they was my age. And I had some guys slightly younger come over, they didn't mind it. But it was interesting the cutoff in age was like when I was 23, 23-year-olds, some did, some didn't. 24-year-olds wouldn't even listen to hip hop. But younger cats, in 1920 at the time, didn't mind it. Tommy Bolin played Delightful live when Narda was in his band. Yes, I had at one time. Again, they erased all that from my old page. But yes, I've had that as well before they erased it out where he was with Tommy Bolin. Exactly. Bowen. Yes, 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 exactly. Yep. And Narda was a bad cat. Narda went to India for a year and was dropping acid with the yogi or yogi or whatever they call that person. Yeah, he came back a little different, spacey kind of, but that's what he did. I remember his sister was like, "Look, this is what he did. He went to India. He took acid for a year. That's why he's like that." I was like, "Oh, okay." But I used to love. He would come home at Christmas, and I just remember going to my cousin's house because he had a sister my age, and I'd go over there and he'd be home and he'd be upstairs playing on the keyboard and shit, and I'd be buzzed and smoked the joint before I went over there, and I'm just sitting there like rocking, like shit, this motherfucker's up there cooking and shit. But little treats like that with the family, And his mother just passed. His mother was my cousin. She just passed not too long ago. My mother's 80, so Peggy was, I think she died at 85, 86. No, she might not have been that old. She might have been like 83, 84. She was older than my mother. I had a beautiful picture of his mother and my aunt all together. I had a real beautiful picture of them. I gave it to my mother. I think my mother still has it. But a real beautiful picture of, and his dad was brutal. His dad was brutal. Narda ran away at like 15 because his dad was just, he liked me, but he was brutal to his children. One of his children ended up being an alcoholic, my cousin Ron. He ended up dying of alcohol. And I'll be honest, I think my cousin Ron was a sacrifice to Narda, to be honest. Pretty sure of that. But Narda, but Ron ended up being an alcoholic. Ron was tall, he hooped, but just never. But again, Harold brutalized all of them. And I used to feel sorry for my cousin Yogi because he was still beating her when we was like in like 9th, 10th grade. He's still whooping her. Like his brother Chris, when I was 12, this old woman tried to, give me some. And I really was like, no, thank you. Like, you're not my type. I was messing with her niece. And she was like the hangout place. So this chick tries to really give me some when I'm 12. I'm not 12. I'm not thinking. I'm trying to feel on her niece's breast when we make out. So I'm not thinking nothing about this old woman. We by ourselves in the house and she's asking me all these questions. I'm not thinking about doing it to that old woman at that time. I just wanted her niece. So that was really her goal, was to mess with me. But my cousin Chris, I was 12. My cousin Chris was 15. Now, when I met this chick, no, let me go back. Before I met this chick, I was walking to school one day, and there was this dude named Jack, and he walked to the bus with me. He went to school with me for a week or two, and she had kidnapped this boy. This boy was 13. She had kidnapped him and taken him where we was and tried to put him in school. His parents came back, took him back, but she had kidnapped this boy. So we go there because she was the hangout spot. Chick played the guitar, always had sodas and everything. And I took my 15-year-old cousin, Chris, with me. Chris was 15. And that shit she tried to do to me, Chris was with it. And don't you know, she was, and this is the thing. You talking about cougar. Chris was 15. This chick had to have been 37 or 38 at the time. And they stayed together 20 years. They stayed together 20 years, had a couple children. She had already had children when I met her. But they had a couple children, and then she ended up finding a younger dude. This chick was in her 60s and left him for a 20-year-old. And so left him with a lot of debt and all that shit. But yeah, Chris stayed with that chick for 20 years. So when he was 20, this chick was in her 40s. Can't imagine. She wasn't that pretty to start with, so I couldn't imagine what she looked like in her 40s. Narda has a cool YouTube channel. Yeah, because Narda was on. He did a nice Christmas special, he did a nice Christmas special. Yeah, he did a nice Christmas special. And I remember going to parties with him and stuff. He used to be married to Lisa. And, he got children younger than mine. I think his youngest children are younger than my 9-year-old daughter. He has young children, I think, still. But he had children late. But, yeah, I support his YouTube channel. Again, Delightful is one of my all-time favorite songs. I love that song. And it was like when he sang I Should Have Loved You on Midnight Special. It was like that. Let me get the night right. So it was the night, my first game of my senior year. I had got a dunk in that game, but we lost. I had 24 points. I had 10 rebounds and the first dunk in the history of Kalamazoo. And I remember going to my cousin's house, and she was like, you had your game? And I was like, yeah, we lost. She's like, okay. And she's like, well, here's the weed tray. She gave me weed tray. I had my girlfriend. So we watching Naruto on Midnight Special. Then I had to go back for the next day, and then I'm the headline of the sports page, and my cousin was like, she's like, I didn't know you had this kind of game. She's like showing me the picture of me in the paper. She's like, you didn't tell me you had this kind of game. But it was just nice seeing Naruto, on Midnight Special singing I Should Have Loved You. Yeah. So that was a good time for the family. That was a good time for the family. He's a good brother. He is a good brother. Music history. He's another one. Music history wise, he brings it. Like there's a Smokey Robinson song called "More Love." Don't be more love, yeah. And it's really a song that really builds up. It's like as you listen to it, you can see the way Smokey wrote it, and it just starts, and then it comes to a peak, and it keeps you on that peak. It's just a beautiful way Smokey read it, and it's called More Love. Yeah, More Love, More Love. And for years I'd heard it and didn't know, I couldn't make out the words, but More Love by Smokey. And maybe Smokey's wife is in that song too. She might be the one that's where they dubbed the voices together. It might be Smokey and his first wife together. It might have been the Miracles with his wife was with the Miracles. So yeah, hey Rocky, thank you for joining me. So I love music history. Music history I love it. I love it. That's why with Jimi Hendrix, it wasn't enough just listening to his music. I studied him. And so, big Hendrix fan. One time I had all the albums. I got to rebuy all the albums because I'm going to get another turntable, put speakers in every room, and just drop the needle on the record because, again, the needle and the vinyl make a different sound than all this computer music that we listen to now. Now, you could say, well, going through the Bluetooth ain't the same as having the speakers connected, which is true. But it's a start of listening to vinyl again. Vinyl gives you a pure sound. And so it may raise your vibrations listening to vinyl instead of the way the music is now. And now vinyl is readily available. So a lot of the music that I lost, I will bring back. I'll be able to buy back because when I went to college, I stole 2 albums. I stole the Meters that sung the Sissy Strut. If you watch Jackie Brown, oh yeah. That's the Meters, baby, the Meters. And then the Iceman, Jerry Butler. Western Union man, send a telegram to my bay. Oh, the Iceman. And I've told the story how Mr. Butler tried to get me killed by working for Cook County Sheriff's Department when he was a city councilman, because Tone was one of my cousin's guys. And every time I'd see Mr. Butler, he'd want me to come work down there. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I can handle that, Mr. Butler. That's a little intense. That's a little intense, Mr. Butler. I just don't think I can do it. But he would always offer me jobs. But yeah, the Iceman. I don't know if y'all Iceman, yeah. Jerry Butler, but that was another album I stole. I stole one from my stepfather and my father, and I had to take those to college. I wasn't leaving home without them. I had to have them. And then Jerry Butler, Never Gonna Give You Up. Listen to Never Gonna Give You Up if you want to hear a soulful voice. Never gonna give you up, no matter how you treat me. Never gonna give you up. Oh, don't you understand what you're doing to this man? Oh, you talking about some music that just goes inside of you. And then they got that. Oh, yeah, Jerry Butler is that dude. If y'all ain't hip to him, listen to Jerry Butler. Never gonna give you up. I know Western Union man is probably hard to relate. Some people don't even know what a Western Union telegram is. Telegram was like a way to get a text back then. If you didn't want to send a motherfucker a letter, you could send him a telegram quick. You know, motherfucker running around trying to give you a telegram. Or remember in Blazing Saddles, they gave Alex Karras the telegram. He opened it up and it blew him up, and they had put him in chains. But the telegram was urgent shit, you know, like, damn, motherfucker, what? It doesn't exist. Western Union exists, it's only to send money. The telegram business died with the text message. Well, what time is it? Oh shit, it's almost 3:00. Well, I think that is enough. But I did want to do an exercise. Trying to think how to do it. Because this ain't easy to explain, but maybe. All right, I'll explain it. All right. So, damn, how that light? I'll make it dark for a second, a little bit. All right. All right, so put yourself here. All right, this is what we're going to do. Put yourself facing the hallway. And in the hallway is multiple doors. No hex, no bind. You're free. Okay? We're free. I'm not trying to put you under anything. But just imagine that you are facing a hallway with multiple doors. So we'll go slow. Now, as we approach the first door, it swings open. In it, you see an animal moving. Part of you thinks you can jump and ride that animal. It's just a part of you makes you wonder that. All right? Door stays open. We go back. We walk down the hall. We look on the other side. We just say for the simple understanding our left. We see another door. We see a clown. Clown is trying to make someone laugh, and you're watching the clown. Okay? Keep the door open. Take a step further. You see a baseball game. Sunny afternoon, a baseball game. You're looking at the baseball game from the stands. Let's go into the stands. Let's sit down. Let's watch the baseball game. You're sitting there. You see the pitchers. You smell the peanuts. You smell the popcorn. You smell the beer. Nice summer, hot day. You feel the heat. Player gets a hit. You hear the cheering. From what time period? Can be any time period that you decide. But you're sitting there in the game. You're watching the game. You're part of the crowd. Just like you paid a ticket and went to the game. You're sitting there. All right, excuse yourself. Go back into the hall. We go down to another step. We see someone sitting in the garden. Again, we'll say to our left just to give an idea. We see a person sitting in the garden. Do we want to go to the garden? Do we want to see what they're contemplating? Do you want to be that person sitting in the garden? Because this time you can't go just sit there. You have to actually go be that person. So is that something that interests you? If that interests you, go be that person and sit in the garden. And then later reflect. For those of you that don't want to, let's go a little further. So you see a horse. In the next door, you see a horse running around in the corral. It's just a horse. It's just running around. It's free. Do you want to be that horse? Do you want to ride that horse? Which one would you prefer? To be the horse or to ride the horse? It's up to you. Those of you that would like that, stay with it. We'll go down another corridor. We see a person in a play. The person is the lead in the play. Okay, let's have a little fun. All that you've stayed with me, let's go be that person. All of a sudden, we know all the lines. We know all the music, all the steps, all our cues, all our spots. And we are being that person, being in the play. Every song, all the timing, and yet we're that person, we're being the play. Look out in the crowd. You just said a funny jokes and everybody laughed. And we are actually being this character in the play. And you know every line. All right? Those of you that want to continue there, stay there. Let's move on. Let's go to the next. Let's go to the next door. The next door, we see a person that has just jumped underwater and is scuba diving. Do you want to be that person that's scuba diving? Looking at all the fish. Feel yourself breathing in the tank. Feel the water around you. Feel the pressure. Feel the weight belt that's holding you from floating up. But it's the breath of. So those of you who like to continue be that. Let's go down to the next line. The next door is open is the person being a king. Person is King of Transylvania, just to give a name. But you're seeing him doing his kingly duty. Is that worth being the king? Those of you who would like to be the king, go. Those of you that like, let's proceed. The next door is a type of Star Trek experience. Do you want to be one of the characters in Star Trek, Star Wars? Then you can proceed at that door. And the next door, there's nothing in there. But yet there's something inside of you that wants to go in. For those of you that want to go in and discover what's in there. If those of you who are not, stay in the hallway. And then the next door, you see a dude climbing a mountain. No equipment, nothing but chalk. My fear. And he's climbing the shit out this mountain without anything but a bag of chalk. You want to be that person. Those of you that do, be that person. Those of you who don't, let's keep on. And in the final room, we see an old man just sitting at the park by himself, feeding the birds. And I bring this old man up because, once again, you see the completion of life. You see old man retired, just feeding the birds, smoking a cigar. Would you like to be him? Because again, this man is at peace. He's doing exactly what he wants to do at the time he's doing it. And so ponder this for a few more minutes. Whichever one that you are, just ponder that. And those of you, let's all come back. Everyone meet me back in the hallway. And we're just going to turn around and reverse our way out. You don't have to linger. You don't have to keep living the experience. I mean, if something's holding you there, I'm releasing you. Okay? Now, that's an exercise, kind of how the Tsar world is, kind of how it opens up. It is not the astral or ethers. It is something separate. And the only way I can really show you is it is more hallway-like. Now, as I've talked about the astros and the ethers, I talk about a situation where you see what you're creating. The astros and ethers, slightly different, but a lot of the same. But the Tsar world is totally different. It's quantum leap. Quantum leap tells you about possession. And quantum leap shows him possessing people in the past. You can possess people in the past. You understand? It's not about just, calling all these demons and shit, you go possess the president. No, it is possible to possess people in the past to live their experiences. So it is a completely different and separate movement that to me is stronger than the other two. It is stronger than the other two. But again, this takes practice. And I know what I mentioned is just simple way to put it, but I just want to do an understanding, just as I taught you to leave your body and go up. Well, this is another exercise of how you would kind of go about it. You don't need the blood. You know, the book talks about the blood. You don't need the blood. Because when she goes back in the past and possesses her friend, she didn't use any blood to do it. So you don't need blood. But it's another way to move. So this has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host. 8 Wind is timeless. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Till we meet again.